of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is the Union Township Board of Trustees meeting for July 8th at 6 p.m. Mr. Campbell, let the records show that all three trustees are present. Do we have correspondence from the fiscal office tonight?
No, sir, I have none, thank you.
All right, moving forward, gentlemen, no proclamations, special presentations this evening. But we'll move on to public hearing personnel. We have a public hearing pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 145.381. Public hearings pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 145.381 to consider the continuation of employment of Police Lieutenant Scott Blankenship, Union Township Police Department, as a re-employed retirant within the Union Township Extended Employment Program. Projected retirement date is July 31st, 2025. Projected reemployment date is August 5th, 2025. This is a public hearing. Mr. Wright, do we need to do anything additional to this or have the chief say anything else?
I think we could just introduce it and then open the hearing if that's okay. So this, I have the honor of presenting Lieutenant Blankenship for kind of our inaugural first participant in the extended employment program, and Lieutenant Blankenship is really second to none in regards to investigators. You know, if not definitely the state, if not the region, one of the best in the country, and had the privilege of working with him from my time when I started here in a prior go-around from 2006 to before and present, and I can't, there's not enough good things I can say about him. So I'm pleased that he's here. I'm pleased that he wants to continue and provide mentorship opportunities, you know, for the next generation of leaders that are coming up through our department. We have a fairly young police department. I think that's a reflection of kind of where we are, you know, in the law enforcement, you know, service continuum. And I think that it's great that he wants to give us a few more years and provide some of those mentorship opportunities. I'll turn it over to the chief. So.
For my part, Scott, Lieutenant Blankenship, I've worked with him for 27 years. He is without a doubt the best detective in the city. And I'm not just saying that because he works for me. It's just, he is. He is invaluable to us. He's a big part of the machine. He wears a lot of hats, not just for the police department, but for the township and the IT work that he does. And we are at a time at the police department where we've got a newer investigative group, a newer investigative sergeant, and I want to echo Mr. Wright's thoughts about the mentorship. I can think of no better mentor. He's taken a lot off my plate over the years. He's quite simply an incredible employee, detective, and worker. So it goes without saying, I would love to see him come back and continue his employment here.
Thank you, Chief. Open public hearing. At this time, gentlemen, we'll open we'll open the public hearing. Are there any proponents for the action of personnel retirement, reemployment, rehiring for Officer Scott Blankenship? Any opponents? Applicant, would you like to say a few words? You don't need to. All right, seeing nothing on the public hearing, we'll close the public hearing, open up to board comment.
Do you need a motion to open and close, Mr. Campbell?
I think we should.
Yeah, okay, we'll take a motion. Do you need to document a motion with a
Motion
vote
to
to open?
Do a motion to open.
Do I have a motion to open the public hearing that we just discussed?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
And Mr. Logue?
Yes.
So the public hearing is open at 6:04 p.m.
And I would just restate opposed or.
Yep. Open it for proponents, opponents, or the applicant. Hearing none. Motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
The public hearing is closed at 6:05 p.m.
Motion to open the public, or I'm sorry, to open the board. Do we need to have a motion
We
for
do
that?
not need a
Mr.
motion,
Okay, thank
sir.
you. All right, so open the board to our vice chairman here.
So, this is our first rehire one, so it's okay, we're little speed bumps. Scott, you are hands down. I completely agree with the chief. And this is the reason why we pushed hard to get a retire rehire program, is for this exact example of why you're here. And so you can't buy seniority, you can't buy leadership, you can't buy the wisdom that you bring to the table. Hands down, any case that requires serious detective work falls in your lap. And so you've done a lot, you've seen a lot. You're a good man of valor, and I've called you several times to get your opinion on different things and your thoughts, and because I appreciate what you bring to the table and being my elder itself. So, Scott, this is hands down an easy vote for me, and I think everyone would agree. So, appreciate you very much, Lieutenant.
Trustee Becker.
Yeah, so I'm very pleased that you're going to be staying on with us. You know, I don't really know you well personally, but I certainly know great things about you. And, you know, you're certainly a huge asset to this department. That said, a few months ago, I guess it was, when we voted on the policy to have the retire rehire, what's commonly known as the double dipper policy, I gave a lengthy explanation why I was opposed to the policy. When I was in the General Assembly, I did what I could to actually reverse or change the law. But I discovered my colleagues in the General Assembly, they like being double dippers too. So it's a good thing for those who can get it. I get that. And I certainly have no problem with anybody making rational decisions about their finances. Makes sense to me. But with that, I have a principled position opposed to double dipping as opposed to double dippers, to make that distinction. And, you know, whether it be either of the chiefs, our administrator, the directors, unless somewhere along the line I find a compelling reason to change my mind, I'm a no vote. If it were my mother, I'm a no vote. Of course, I guess I'd have to recuse myself for that. With that, that concludes my remarks.
All right, thank you. So gentlemen, the way I'm just going to carry this forward is the board comments here, then we'll also move down to the personnel actions on the agenda in that sense. So just to share my comments, I hear your perspective, Trustee Becker, Trustee Dills, thank you. Yeah, it is something new to bring policy new to the township, and sometimes you like for things to go faster, simply stated, than it takes to get done. But I think that as far as the big perspective of local government and Union Township and outcome-based services to the community, this is a great corner to turn. Aside from my own personal perspective on it, this is not something I have heard opposition from people in the community reaching out to me. I haven't really heard people being proponents of it. A few more than hearing none for opposition. But to me, that's one of those avenues that if it's outcome focused and we retain talent and experience, and the workforce structure is aligned for that, I think it's something that's all outcome focused and based as far as providing the best services that we can provide to the community. So it's just where my perspective is on that. It's not really something to bind future board members also. And I know that's where that becomes kind of the gray area, establishing policies like what is in front of us today. So with that, gentlemen, I'll close board comments. We'll do personal actions. Chief Reese, would you like to introduce? We're going to take a motion to approve the continuation of employment of Police Lieutenant Scott Blankenship, Union Township Police Department, as a reemployed retirement within Union Township Extended Employment Program. Projected retirement date 7/31/2025. Projected reemployment date 8/5/2025. I'll open the floor to you, Chief Reese.
I wholly endorse it. Would love to have Lieutenant Blankenship back. The main reason being the people of the township are getting excellent service from him, and I'd like to see that continue. I think it's in our best interest.
Okay. Thanks, Chief. Gentlemen, do we have a motion to approve the continuation of employment of Police Lieutenant Scott Blankenship?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, Mr. Campbell?
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
You know, before I cast a vote, I just want you to know that I still respect you either way. And, you know, I'm really pleased you're going to stay with us. It's just, it's the whole idea of the double dipper thing is my problem. And with that, I'm a no vote.
Mr. Luke?
So I'm a yes vote, but I have to vote yes also to see your objective forward that you do want to see him stay with us. And as if I had the option
I
to
do.
just vote one way or another,
Absolutely do
then
want to see him stay with us.
he wouldn't be with us. So anyway, I'm a yes vote, yes.
Well, in this case, motion carries.
Hey, thank you for patience with us. Thank you.
Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, we definitely should. After, yeah. Yeah. All right, gentlemen, moving forward, Fire Department. Chief Clements, if you could introduce Benjamin Kroger for the position of firefighter EMT Step 1 in accordance with collective bargaining agreement, the effective date August 18th, 2025.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Luke. Tonight, I'd like to introduce and recommend Mr. Benjamin Kroger for consideration for the position of full-time firefighter EMT. Mr. Kroger is a 2023 graduate of Reading High School. He has earned his certifications as firefighter and EMT through Scarlet Oaks. Mr. Kroger is finishing up his paramedic program through Cincinnati State and is expected to receive his paramedic certification in the coming months. Mr. Kroger comes to us with experience working part-time for Colerain Township, the Village of Lackland, and the City of Springdale Fire Departments. Ben has successfully completed all aspects of the hiring process, including a background, polygraph, and psychological evaluation. He will be a great addition to our department. I would recommend a conditional offer of employment to Mr. Kroger as a full-time firefighter EMT at a rate of pay consistent with Step 1 of the collective bargaining agreement effective August 18, 2025 at 7 a.m. pending successful completion of a physical examination.
Thank you, Chief. Trustee Dills.
Ben, welcome. Yeah, you got your family here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, introduce them for us, please.
Well, my mom, Shelly, my dad, Don, my brother and sister, and then my girlfriend, Emily, and Shannon Harris.
Well, it's a big day. It's a big day. So, yeah, congratulations on being here. And you can see you got the whole team behind you, and they're here just for you, to see you get hired on. And so that's awesome. And it's a good team, and you'll love the camaraderie here. So welcome aboard, Ben. Absolutely.
you.
Trustee Becker.
I just sound you got some great experience and looking forward to having you as part of the team.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having you here with us. You definitely have an experienced team there standing behind you. I see our very own Chief Domling back there too, representing as well. So you must have some really good gravity around you to have the support of the chief there as well. So we're looking forward to having you on board.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, with that, do we have a motion to hire Ben Kroger for the position of firefighter EMT Step 1 in accordance with the collective bargaining agreement with the effective date of August 18, 2025 at 7 a.m. pending successful completion of medical physical examination?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no further discussion, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations, Ben.
Hey, congratulations, welcome.
Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah, we'll have that. We'll help down. All right, this time, gentlemen, we'll move on to public comments. Well, I see Chief Dowling here, and I see he brought in one of his working dogs, so I do want to offer, do you want to share or say anything to the board with the dog, or are we just visiting tonight? I think we'd love to hear or see any update or anything on your mind.
So as far as the dog goes, this is Raina. Raina is an ignitable liquid canine. She does all kind of ignitable liquids. We travel all over Claremont County, Hamilton County, Brown County, and do fire investigations. We've done it for years. We did it when I was here. She started when she was here. She retired with me, and we continue to do it today. You know, I wasn't going to come up, but since you invited me, I'm going to come up. And I just want to make a comment about extending the service of Lieutenant Blankenship and the other employees here. I think it's important that the public here understands, and the taxpayers of Union Township understand, and I know I wasn't here at previous meetings when you discussed passing this policy. And this may have already been discussed, and if I'm repeating myself or repeating it, I'm going to apologize in advance. But the taxpayers, including me, of Union Township, spend millions of dollars on these employees when they come here and they work for 25 or 30 years. Literally $2 to $3 million we invest in those employees. They gain knowledge, they gain experience, they have institutional knowledge that you can't replace with any new employee. That millions of dollars in investment in those employees, in their salary, benefits, training, uniforms, equipment, goes out the door when they retire. So when you take somebody like Lieutenant Blankenship, who I've had the privilege to work with for 30 years before I left here, on accident scenes, on homicides, on crime scenes, on internal investigations, to lose that breadth of knowledge and experience and institutional knowledge is a waste of the taxpayers' money. And for the trustees not to see that and appreciate that, that the taxpayers have invested that money into these people and let it walk out the door is a crime. And for Mr. Becker not to recognize that and support that, I think is shameful. It's nice seeing you all tonight. I was here to hopefully see you extend the employment of Lieutenant Blankenship. You've made the right decision, at least two of you have. And I, as a taxpayer, as a resident, and as having the experience and the privilege to work with him for 30 years, that was certainly the right decision, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for the continued service to the community with the Central Joint Fire District and what you're doing. So
It's my
appreciate it.
pleasure.
Thank you.
You're good people, Stan. Thank you, sir.
All right, I've got Brian Willis. Brian, yeah, please join us.
Hello, gentlemen. I just have a few remarks relative to zoning, and I know that both the trustees and the zoning committee are involved in all of that, and I'm not always real clear. I haven't been involved in these processes to know where all the lines are drawn, but I wanted to voice a few concerns just to get them front of mind for all of you on the heels of the issue we just had with Brookstone and the 4885 Beechwood Road. You know, I've been speaking with several people who've considered or suggested that maybe that Horizon 2030 plan might need a little bit of clarification. It's a good plan, but maybe it needs a little bit of clarification. When we have a developer that can come in and say, well, here's all of the green space that we're preserving, but really that green space that they're preserving is undevelopable land. You know, maybe we need to make some clarifications on, how exactly, green space is calculated, what can be included, what can't be included. Perhaps that plan is just a little bit too vague when it comes to figuring out how exactly you would enforce that. So it's just a comment or suggestion that whatever we could do to kind of put some clarity around that, perhaps clarity around, based on the different zoning levels, instead of just, how many lots per acre, but maybe it specifies, what is the minimum acreage size of a lot within, a certain zoning. As a person who spent a lot of my time as a computer programmer in my career, I see that lack of specificity, and it makes my brain itch. It kind of seems like there's some room for clarity, so that we don't have, again, developers that are sort of, I think, skirting the spirit of the intent of what some of those guidelines really were. My next concern is, and Mr. Dills has already addressed this with me a little bit, saying that even if a developer comes back and they say that they are developing something within the current guidelines, within the current zoning, that will be reviewed, it must be approved. Because that was a concern that some of the things in Brookstone's case that they were saying would not have been, even under the current zoning, and the things that they would have done that should have been in compliance with current zoning, they weren't. The number of ingress, egress points, again, the acreage usage and things like that. So my understanding is that does get reviewed, that even if they come back without asking for a zoning change, that it will get reviewed to make sure that they're really in compliance. I don't know where or how that's reviewed publicly to make sure that they're in compliance before they move forward, but I guess that's my request or my suggestion that it is. And I think those are primarily the points. Well, actually, I have one more point. Another thing that came up with the discussions around Brookstone was that we don't really have control of the roads. Like Beechwood Road, there are concerns about the safety of it in different areas and whether it would be adapted based on any changes in the property around there. And the answer always seemed to be, well, that's up to the county. And I just wanted to ask or suggest, is there a way that we can be a little more hand in hand with the county expressing concerns of the township of things that we think need to be addressed, particularly as regards, some of the safety issues there on Beechwood Road and I'm sure several other similar situations. So that was all I had. Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
Janet Kravitz.
My name's Janet Kravitz, and I live at 4162 Brandon Drive in Union Township with my husband, Michael Kravitz, who's here. We've lived in our home for approximately 24 years, and I'm coming to you, some of you all already have gotten my letters, but I wanted to address the issues of native plants and pollinator gardens. Some of us, myself included, our garden doesn't look exactly like everybody else's in the neighborhood, and that's what we want to address. About 9 or 10 years ago, we started to become interested in native plants and pollinator gardens. We started out by going to some workshops with the Midwest Native Plant Society to learn more about this topic. Can everybody hear me?
Just fine.
Okay. My husband is a biologist, and I'm an educator. So planting a native garden as an educational tool was a natural step for us. We planted our garden in the front yard instead of the backyard for two main reasons. Our backyard is mostly forest. We get very little sun there. We wanted our garden to be an educational tool, and we wanted it to be enjoyed by others. So a great deal of thought went into planting this native pollinator garden. The reason behind planting native plants and pollinators is clear. According to the Ohio Pollinator Habitat Initiative, Ohio has seen significant drops in butterflies and other pollinators since the 1970s. Plants and insects play crucial roles in maintaining our health and the planet's balance by performing essential services like pollination and water purification, waste decomposition, and climate regulation, all of which are invaluable," unquote. About 85% of our flowering plants and 1/3 of our worldwide crops are dependent on pollinators. Later, in 2019, a couple of years after we started our garden, Ohio Governor DeWine signed a bill into law designating April as Ohio Native Plant Month. He also signed Bill 364, encouraging sharing of native plants for pollinator conservation. You therefore can see that this concept is not new, it's not a fad, and it's important to our state. Parks can't do this alone. The majority of land in Ohio is private. We therefore need homeowners to step in to plant pollinator gardens and with native plants. So on a personal note, our neighbors have been very receptive to our garden, which doesn't look exactly like everybody else's. It has become a neighborhood gathering place where friends and neighbors come with their children to observe, ask questions, and learn. And this has given all of us a great deal of satisfaction. Just a few more facts. Overall, Ohioans in general have been receptive to this idea. 47 counties participated in seed pod collection for the Ohio Pollinator Habitat Initiative, including Hamilton County, right next door. 13 communities and townships offer rebates for installing native plants, including trees, shrubs, and perennials. Our nearby neighbors, Loveland, Madeira, Cincinnati, and Hamilton County, are all actively encouraging native pollinator habitats. In fact, our next door neighbors, Anderson Township, which is 1.5 blocks from our house, have started the Anderson Township Native Plant Initiative, which will have their kickoff on Saturday, July 19th at Anderson Town Center from 10 to 12 p.m. And that is open to the public and people in our township, and everyone's encouraged to come. Cincinnati Nature Center is having a native plant sale at their Long Branch Farm and Trails location on July 12th to 13th from 9 to 4 p.m. each day. They're also a great resource to learn about pollinator gardens and native plants. Now, it has been my experience that Union Township has been very receptive to good ideas. I appeared several years ago right here before the Board of Trustees recommending the implementation of curbs for the handicapped to be installed in the Brandon Moore subdivision where we live. And I commend the township for implementing those curbs along with Matt Taylor, who helped us so much with that, and now it's more than halfway completed. So, my husband and I, and some of our neighbors who are also here, and neighbors who aren't here, strongly encourage the leadership of Union Township to promote the planting of native plant and pollinator gardens. Many nearby communities have already laid the groundwork, so the work's already done. Anderson Township, for example, has launched a year-long initiative that could serve as a valuable model. We believe Union Township could easily follow their lead and the lead of other places in the state. Native plants should be supported, not discouraged, as they play a vital role in sustaining local ecosystems. We have brochures here with pictures of our garden, including 2 links that are helpful for pollinator garden resources, which we would be happy to share. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, ma'am. I thought you were wrapping up there when we heard the tone. We were at our 5-minute mark, and I didn't want to unnecessarily interrupt you. I could tell that you're at your wrap-up section, so thank you.
And I
Does have any comment?
have the brochures that we made of our garden, which I can hand out, which
Okay.
my husband can hand out.
Mr. Wright, wasn't Ms. Kravitz, she was in compliance, right?
Yeah, so,
Yeah, right.
yes, so we respond to every complaint we
Yeah.
get, whether they're written or we receive a written complaint. And I've actually had the privilege of working with Ms. Kravitz. It seems like it wasn't that long ago, but it was actually a long time ago. And we worked on sort of defining it and creating that. There was a little bit of fine tuning that had to go on. She's in full compliance now. The zoning inspector's been out there. They did a great job cleaning it up, and it's actually it's a very attractive, although unconventional, a very attractive installation. So we have to investigate, Mr. McCormick and Mr. Berkey have to investigate every complaint. They do that. That's their due diligence. We investigated it fully, had some minor tweaks, I think, and I think it will be there for the duration, so.
Ms. Kravitz, you have nothing to worry about. I fully support it, love it, and I'm right there with you, so no worries.
And we
Yes, ma'am.
want to encourage other people to plant native plants.
Yeah, absolutely. And Miss R is right behind you, and I saw her taking notes while you were talking, so I can trust that it'll be in our newsletter, our Facebook page. We'll get it out there. No worries. Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much for
no
your
problem.
time. I appreciate it.
Trustee Becker, do you have any?
No, I think
quick
this
thought?
is great. I love the concept.
Yeah, I was gonna say, kind of similar, to me, it kind of strikes as the whole thing that falls in line with Secretary Bobby Kennedy and making America healthy again, and bringing a focus on to what you're talking about. It's these type of intricate details where we have lost so much quality value in our plants, our foods, et cetera, and it goes to things exactly like this. There's a reason why I buy, local honey, so I completely support it. Likewise, I saw Lisa R. taking notes on this, so I'm sure that we'll have some ability to follow up. I think it's a great educational reach out that you've already done. I definitely remembered you from working on the streets and the curbs for Brandon Moore, so you seem to be involved in the community, which is great in a positive way. And I would also probably point you towards our Park and Recs Board if you want to get engaged there, and take a look at a few other areas that we can have some reach out. And Ohio Revised Code also provides for people to get engaged at their local level, at the central committee level too. And so I'm not sure what type of party you are, but you're on Brandon Moore, and you can look up your state, your central committee to be able to get involved too at the very local level. And that's another way to continue to grow your advocacy that you pursue.
Oh, real quick, and something that this is totally unrelated. We had a pop-in visit from our folks at District 8, their maintenance office, ODOT District 8, came in the other day, and we talked about the mowing. And, traditionally, they go in and they clear cut all the right-of-ways. And Ohio has, if anybody's ever driven from Cincinnati to Columbus, it's one of the most boring drives, on the planet. So the state actually is doing things. You'll see it around 32 here. You see where they'll mow 15, 20 feet off the road. Those are actually native plants that are in the medians now that they're letting grow up and in support of that. So we appreciate that the state of Ohio is doing that as well, and I think that that's a great initiative, so.
And I don't know if my other neighbors wanted to make a comment, but that's all of mine. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Gail Kern?
Hello. I am a volunteer at Cincinnati Nature Center. I have been for over 18 years. One of my main things that I work with is the native plant sale. I am an ambassador. I answer questions about native plants to people. And Jan covered the most important thing of pollinators and it being the most important thing that they do. Everything works together. It's all balanced. It's all interconnected. It all has a purpose. One other thing about native plants is they grow extremely deep roots, feet in length, compared to lawn grass, which only grows 3 inches. So it's great for climate change. It also is wonderful for water because you do not have to water them as often because of their deep roots. And they also hold the soil in place. which helps erosion, and they get their nutrients from the soil. So you don't have to fertilize. So the homeowner is saving a lot of money in water, fertilizer, and in mowing their lawn because they don't have as much lawn to mow. I have native wildflowers in my yard, so I hope you guys will really consider not considering them obnoxious weeds. I also know about the rain garden type things along different parts of the road, and the cemetery has got so I'm sure you all are aware of their importance, and I really hope you consider changing your amendment to this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you, Gail. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
John Nyer.
Good evening, trustees. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board. And I serve as a Commissioner of Parks in the city of Cincinnati, and in that capacity, I understand that most of the feedback we get is complaints or problems or challenges, and I thought it might be a refreshing change to offer positive feedback. We were highly involved in the zoning commission application for a change at 4885 Beechwood Road. We were, of course, delighted that it was withdrawn by the developer, and that probably impacts my good mood to some measure, but I also wanted to say that through the process, we moved to Union Township either 4 or 5 years ago, we were talking about here, and we've had very limited engagement. We've had a few interfaces with the fire and the police departments. They've all been lovely, but through this process, we got to know several of the members of the team, and we're just blown away by the responsiveness and help. I had done some early research on how you file a Freedom of Information Act, and in Union Township, you just call and ask and get the information. From the police department's public information, I wanted some traffic data, and that was furnished quickly. Mr. McCormack helped me refine a question that I didn't ask very well and very responsibly to a person. Everybody was responsive and helpful, and I just thought it'd be nice to, there's no ask here other than to accept my thanks. So we appreciate all of the team's good efforts, happy with the outcome. We're obviously paying attention moving forward, would have ongoing concerns, but thought it might be nice to show up with something other than a complaint. So thank you very much, appreciate your time to be heard.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
All right, gentlemen, moving forward, is there any further public comments tonight? Trustee Dills, yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Wright, would you, I wish when Mr. Willis was up here, I would have stopped it. Would you be able to address a few things, just for clarity's sake? So for example, that property, even that Mr. Nyer was talking about, you know, the minimum acres, you know, size, the clarity, the compliance, the enforcement, that if it does not have to come to the Board of Trustees, what's our process with Mr. McCormick and our zoning to make sure that developers are following in line? Perfect example that was brought up to me was, for example, McDonald's over there on, 32, that did not come to us because there's no zoning change. But what's the process and that basically developers are following our current zoning?
Sure. So a couple of things. So we have two separate processes, one for commercial developments, like you referenced for McDonald's, which goes through an extensive plan review process at the zoning level. That's almost a code compliance checklist, and then also where there's an opportunity to positively impact the site plan with regard to conformance with our adopted plan. The staff does that, so that all happens administratively for commercial developments. For residential developments that are not subject to zoning map amendments, that platting process for single-family lots is handled by and large through Claremont County. So the County Planning Commission is the platting authority for the county. So what happens is in a traditional, what we would say by right, single-family development scenario, they would formulate a plan based on the underlying zoning districts that are in place. So, for example, that specific instance is mostly R1 with some estate residential. So they would have to meet those underlying district guidelines as part of their planning process to lay that plan out. Then they go through a concept plan review at the county, they go through a detailed design plan review at the county, and during each of those stages, there's a local sign-off to where you look at the plan and you determine based on the lot layouts that the lots comply with the underlying zoning district designations, which will set forth things, and there's a table, everybody can look at it, section, I think it's 602, is that right, Mark? There's a table in section 602 that lays out the minimum lot standards for every zoning district in the township. And so, for example, in the estate residential district, I think it's a minimum 2 acres, 175-foot wide lots, 50-foot front and rear, 20-foot sides. Am I right on that? I think so. I'm quoting from memory. I could be wrong.
Exception of flag lots.
Yeah, you got flag lots, which are different. They have to have minimum frontages. And then R1 lots, those are our traditional 20,000 half-acre lots. So 20,000 square foot minimums, 40-foot front, 10-foot rear, 40-foot front, 40-foot rear, 10-foot side, 15-foot side yards. And then R2 is 30, 10, and 30. So, and again, I apologize if I'm mixing up my numbers, but basically in that table, everybody can look at it and it's out there online. You'll see these are the district requirements. They have to meet minimum lot width, and then they'll show the setbacks on the plat, like this is the buildable area. And then, you know, there's things like irregular lots, lots that are pie-shaped and things. They do an average lot width calculation. So the sum of the front and the back added together divided by 2 has to equal 100 for an R1 lot. It has to be 100 foot at the building line, those kind of things. So there's an extensive review, and literally what the staff will do is they will sit down with a plat or a proposed plat, and they will look at each lot, whether it's 5 lots, whether it's 12 lots, whether it's 30 lots, and they'll say, yes, this one complies, yes, this one complies. They'll even get the scale out and they'll look at those things. And then they'll say yes, and then they send a correspondence back to the county that, yes, this meets the zoning. Or, let's say there's a lot that needs to be adjusted. There'll be a comment in a letter that says, lot such and such needs to be adjusted by X feet to meet the minimum lot requirements for that. That is the extent of our review from a by right development scenario. We just are looking at the lots and saying, here's what our zoning standard is, and this plan meets that zoning standard for those lots. From there, though, and having worked at the County Planning Commission for a few years, that review is actually fairly extensive. So as part of that concept letter review, they have to go to the township, but they also have to go to other different agencies. You know, they'll go to soil and water, they'll go to the county engineer, they'll go to the sewer and water district, they'll go and they'll do an extensive review. They'll look at capacity in the infrastructure. The engineer will look at the proposed improvements, whether, you know, the radiuses are right, or they need a different approach apron or whatever. They'll look at all of the technical standards in that. And then in the design plan process, they do a deeper dive into that. They look at the steep slopes, they look at wetlands, they look at whether or not geotechnical reports are required. So the county does an extensive subdivision review process. When it's by right zoning, that zoning process that people got to see doesn't really exist. It's simply just you're looking at the plat and checking lot lines. But that doesn't mean that you don't have the opportunity, and we have a good relationship with the county engineer, you know. We can weigh in with the county engineer, we can say, hey, you know, what does this meet, you know, are there improvements that we can work together with on the TID? Can we mandate these things? Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. But it's a very extensive process, and it really goes down to what the County Planning Commission, ultimately for a single-family development that's done by right, will mandate as part of their review and approval process. And I can tell you, you know, before I left the county back, oh gosh, this was 20 years ago, you know, we would do 40 to 60 subdivisions a year during kind of the peak, you know, development, pre-recession development era. And, you know, it would not be uncommon to have a staff report with 15 or 20 reports, 5 or 6 letters with comments, and then the county just works through those processes, and then it gets sort of sequentially addressed from design plan to construction drawings to ultimately a record plat. So there's multiple chances to review that. The last document that creates those lots is the record plat. That record plat is the physical document that actually creates and carves up the lots and creates the lots that are sold. The construction plans are where you see detailed grading plans, where you see no clearing zones, where you see soil and water conservation measures, where you see all of those things that go into play. You actually get to look at the width of the streets, the depth and composition of the streets. You get to look at all those things. So it's a pretty extensive review. Our involvement is limited. If you think about it, we're sort of a part of the whole in that. But, that doesn't mean that we don't have the opportunity to collaborate with them on, specific items that are, pinch points, things that are pinch points, community concern. We know our community, I think, better than anybody, certainly. Everybody drives through Union Township. I mean, we know it, we live it every day. So we know, if there's a radius that needs to be adjusted, or hey, sight distance is really bad at this location, the engineer can look at it on the plans, but they're just looking at measurements. It's like, hey, guys, you may want to go out there and take a field walk and look at that or whatever. So it's pretty extensive.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
Yep.
Very much, thank you.
All right, gentlemen, moving on to department reports. Fire and Emergency Medical Services, Chief Austin Clemens.
Thank you, Mr. Logue. In the month of June, the fire department responded to 736 fire and service related calls, 555 EMS details, 497 patient contacts, and we transported 413 of those to local hospitals. The fire department completed 1,038 hours of training, handled 7 public education details, completed 4 life safety inspections, and completed 7 safety inspections with the Claremont County Building Department. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Trustee Dills?
Nothing. Good job, Chief. Appreciate you.
Trustee Becker?
No, I'm good.
Police Chief Anthony Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Logan. The month of June, the Communications Center handled 5,035 calls for service for police, fire, and EMS, and 5,358 total calls. Our record section processed 513 juvenile and adult court-related documents for court, and they also processed 117 court notices that required officers' personal appearance in court. Our investigative unit processed 4 Rule 16s for the prosecutor's office. 1 vendor permit was issued in the month of June. Our records section handled 130 records requests and redacted 11 body camera videos. In the area of public affairs, officers hosted several student police academy riders, and I'm proud to say that we hosted our very first juvenile police academy this year. We used to collaborate with the county on that. We decided to do our own this year, and we had 14 attendees. I think it was a good start, very good program for our kids in the township, and we'll build on that for next year. In the Operations Bureau, we took 229 incident reports, 76 crash reports, conducted 386 traffic stops, issued 147 citations, 255 written warnings, made 73 criminal arrests, 53 criminal arrests, 73 traffic arrests, and served 42 warrants. Our officers attended 296 hours of training in the month of June, and we currently have 1 open police officer position within the police department. Lastly, I wanted to respond to Mr. Logue's inquiry last month. I believe you had asked about AI opportunities with regards to our body camera and report taking capabilities. And I believe you specifically talked about Flock, and Flock currently does not offer body camera solutions. However, our current body camera package, which is through Axon, they do offer some AI opportunities. I just want to summarize them real quick for you just to give you that information. The cheaper option is the Draft 1 option, which basically takes the officer's body camera footage and creates a narrative or a statement of facts based on what is said on the body camera footage. The good thing about that is that the prosecutor's office is willing to accept that right now, and there are several checkoffs to where the officer can make sure that what is transcribed is accurate. That is the cheaper option. I'll give you the numbers here in a second if you're interested. The more expensive and more intensive AI option is what's called the AI Era package. It basically builds on the Draft 1 option. It also helps write the reports, not just the narratives, based on the language on the body camera footage. It also offers several options, such as transcribing language. If you're dealing with a Hispanic person or somebody that speaks a different language, the AI option will translate that through the body camera for you. It also offers another attractive option where we can actually download our policies and procedures into the camera, And if we have a newer officer that's, let's say, out on a traffic stop and they have to tow a vehicle and they're a little behind on our tow policies, kind of like Siri does, the body camera will spit out the policy to the officer. So remind him about that if he's not up to tune on the policy. So again, several different options with that. I'm just kind of touching the surface. However, very expensive options. Currently, we are in the last year of our body camera, our initial body camera contract. Next year in April, we'll be renegotiating that. We'll be paying about $491,000 for our body camera package. To add on the draft one option would add about an additional $302,000 to that number. To add on the AI package, you're talking about adding about $643,000. So very, very expensive options. In my opinion, we're going to have some pretty serious changes in our dispatch center over the next couple of years. They're going to be expensive changes. We're going to have to go to a different CAD system and a different 911 system. So if you were to ask me, these are nice options to have, but we're definitely going to see some increases in our expenses in other areas that I think are probably a little more important to us. But I wanted to at least give you that information, sir.
Hey, Chief, those numbers, like for example, the 302,000 for the AI version that writes the reports.
The draft one, yes, sir.
Draft one?
Yes.
Is that the figure for outfitting every officer with that?
Well, the officers are already outfitted with the body cameras.
Right, so it's applicable to the hardware that they currently wear?
Correct.
Okay. So is it a software license that you're getting to that figure for 302,000 applicable to our entire fleet?
Correct. Everybody that is equipped with a body camera.
What would be the potential for 1 to 2 officers to pilot the program to see if there's hours that are saved? Because $302,000 can sound expensive, but I'm interested in knowing what's the cost savings, cost avoidance, and then also the enhanced service that they're going to be. We're not paying them to write reports and the time savings there. We're paying them to police and be out in the community in that sense. So
That's definitely something we can look into.
yeah,
Pilot
I'd
program.
definitely be interested in a pilot program.
Okay.
I think that'd be a good way to know what's the impact and what's it worthwhile. So
We can do
that's
that.
really great. I really appreciate you digging into that through and through. So yeah, thank you, Chief.
You're welcome.
Trustee Dills?
Chief, congratulations on having the first ever retiree hire tonight. It's kind of monumental, neat. And then also, I read your recommendation. You spent a lot of time, effort, and energy putting in for Lieutenant Blankenship. And so it's good to have a guarantee of up to 5 more years with him and his knowledge. So I just want to say congratulations to that. But police department is doing a fine job, so good job.
Thank you.
Trustee Becker?
I'm good.
Service Department, Mr. Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. And the Service Department in the Cemetery Division from June 1st through the 30th, 26 burials were performed, generating $15,800. 1 resident grave was purchased, generating $700. 3 non-resident graves were purchased, generating $5,100. And 5 columbarium niches were purchased, generating $8,450. The total amount generated for the period was $34,328.75. In the Parks Division, park staff continues with landscape area maintenance in the parks and all township properties. The parking lot at Klepper Park was paved where the pickleball court is. And in the Roads Division, a total of 117 potholes were repaired over 20 total streets, and 230 feet of ditching was performed throughout the township on multiple roads. And roadside mowing continues throughout the township as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Trustee Dills?
Mr. Taylor, your team is at a tough month.
It's been busy.
It's been a little hot.
Yes.
Yeah, good job on the potholes. I sent quite a few over to you. Baseball fields, thanks for taking care of those when I asked you to do that. Can you give us 2 updates? I had a couple residents ask about the splash pad at Klepper. Ballpark, when will that be completed, Lord willing?
The anticipated at least as it stands now, and, you know, and Mr. Wright and I have talked without rain. So the contractor is hoping to pour the splash pad next week. Then we'll have some additional concrete work that needs to be done. And then we have to set the features on the splash pad. I'm hoping end of the month. I'm optimistic.
And then, how do you feel about Veterans Park, the new playground, everything, all the updates there?
I don't know if you've driven by it
I have.
here, recently. Today, you can start to see a lot of improvements. It's not as weather dependent because the gravel's all down. So now it's just with the installation of the equipment. The only caveat to that is the rope climber has not been delivered yet. They told us that going into it, that might be the only piece that wasn't delivered by August 7th. They're still telling me August 7th is the anticipated completion date.
Excellent. Good stuff. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, Matt.
Not a problem. And then there's one other, the
Yeah.
comfort zone has started.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
Yes, so you can see them out there. They're obviously digging out, preparing for concrete. They'll have to pour the footers for the shade structures as well.
Perfect. Good looking out. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Trustee Becker?
No,
Hey, Matt, thanks for everything that your team does. I know we've had some very heavy and unpredictable rain this, over the course of the last month, which, at the height of grass and growing season makes that difficult on anybody. So anyway, I'm grateful for all the work that you and the team get done and accomplish, and, keep up the great work there, and we're looking forward to these park improvements as well, so, thank you. Planning and zoning, Mr. McCormick.
Thank you. For the month of June, we had, in terms of enforcement, we had 34 inspections, 17 complaints, 8 of which were unfounded, 7 warning citations, 2 15-day non-compliance letters, 1 30-day violation letter, 1 item or case forwarded to the township attorney, 14 cases resolved, 387 illegal signs removed, 22 violations for the month. We had 36 re-inspections of violations, and we had 15 nuisances filed last month. For permit activity, we had 3 commercial permits, 2 changes of use, 3 signs, 1 temporary sale permit, 2 temporary trailer permits, 7 single-family dwellings, 3 additions, 2 decks, 11 accessory permits, 20 permits for pools or fences, for 54 permits total for the month, and a revenue of $9,043, and an additional $557 for the fire department permit revenue. The only other thing I was going to add is the active sites where you can see a lot of things happening, projects that we've talked about. Elmington Union Commons is open. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony a week or so ago. Wawa and McDonald's in Mount Carmel is underway. Children's is nearly complete. VA clinic is well underway next door. The Westmont project next to Elmington is well underway. That's going to be renamed the Slate. VC Lane, which is on the east side of Westmont, and the Slate project through Vision is underway, and the Cove should start anytime. They already did the site work. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. McCormick. Trustee Dills?
Mr. McCord, good job. You're very busy, and for what it's worth, I know we had that big zoning case that kind of fell flat over there on Beechwood, but quite a few compliments from your department, because folks would call and ask a lot of questions because they didn't know what they didn't know, and so just wanted to say good job on good customer service. You know, appreciate that very much. Anyone call about fireworks complaints or noises that you know of? Very
We
many.
had 1 complaint that was firework related, not entirely related.
Okay.
More of an Airbnb situation, but not necessarily fireworks.
Okay, yeah. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Corey.
Trustee Becker? Mr. Dills, just on that note, I guess Chief Reese, Chief Clements, anyone call for fireworks complaints? Do we
Very
need to
minimal,
catch
sir.
anyone doing any booms?
Very minimal calls, no
No.
arrests.
Minimal?
Yes,
The guy who runs Shale is still in jail, I guess, right?
he's not in jail.
He's not lighting off fireworks either. Problem solved.
Have we decided on running a social media post that we caught the boom? That's a very popular term in Claremont County as far as what's that boom. So speaking of that, community engagement second quarter update, Lisa, our community engagement manager, what's that boom, Lisa?
Thank you. Our social media following has surpassed 7,000 followers, which is great. It's grown immensely since last year. The Township's opening click rates on the e-newsletter continues to perform above the national average, and residents can look for that e-newsletter to come out later this week with upcoming community events and Township updates. So if you are not already registered, please go on to utclaremont.gov to register for our e-newsletters. Our subscriber list continues to increase each month, which is really exciting. We have some exciting community engagement opportunities coming up. The Farmers Market took a break for the July 4th holiday, and it will continue this Friday and continues through Friday, September 5th on the Civic Center campus. We have a lot of returning vendors and a lot of new vendors selling a wider array of products this year than we had last year, which is really great. Our summer concert series continues with the Michelle Robinson Band on Friday, July 18th. Concert evenings will begin with the Farmers Market from 4 to 7, and then we have food trucks and a beverage stand available beginning around 6 p.m., and that goes through 9 p.m., and our live entertainment starts at 7 p.m. So it's a whole campus area full of foot traffic, lots of community involvement. The next Madcap Puppet Show is Saturday, July 26th at 10 a.m. at the Civic Center Amphitheater. The last one we had in June was a really great turnout, Fairy Tales. It's great for the kids to get involved. It's very interactive, tons of fun. The next one is The Monsters of Baseball, and it features giant puppets bringing the history and tradition of baseball alive through songs and stories. Police Night Out will be held on Thursday, August 7th from 6 to 9 at Veterans Memorial Park. You're invited to come out to meet your local police officers and firefighters while enjoying safety demonstrations, raffles, a Dunkin' booth, face painting, tons and tons of kids' activities, lots more. Due to the park improvements, which are going to be so exciting, with the installation of the new playground and the comfort zone, the Police Night Out event will be moved to the other side of the parking lot over in the soccer field area. The very popular Pickleball Slam will be held on Saturday, August 16th, and registration actually opens up tomorrow, if you're listening. This recreational tournament consists of doubles teams. You can sign up as a single, and you'll just be matched up with someone else. It is a recreational tournament, very family-oriented, and is a good time to get involved in our parks. A family movie night will be held on Saturday, September 6th at Veterans Memorial Park. Just like the last one that we had in the spring, you will vote. Residents will have the opportunity to vote for their featured films. So we'll put 2 or 3 options out on social media, and then you'll go out there and vote for which film will be played. Please mark your calendars for the Union Township Fireworks Celebration on Saturday, September 13th. The event takes place along Eastgate South Drive in partnership with RJ Cinema Distillery and Tap Room, Jungle Gym's International Market, and Crossroads Eastside. Registration for the fall Sip and Shop will open at the end of this month. The Sip and Shop will be held on Saturday, October 18th from noon to 4 p.m. It's an opportunity to sip on a beverage and shop for local, unique handcrafted goods and fresh produce and more. This fall, we have some exciting news. We are going to be hosting the Traveling Vietnam Wall and Cost of Freedom Tribute at the Union Township's Veterans Memorial Park, Thursday, October 9th through Sunday, October 12th. This information will all be up on our website this week. There will be an opening ceremony event on Thursday, October 9th at 9 a.m. with additional events each day. I think we have about 7 different things going on throughout the entire event. Lots of good ways to get involved and get some community engagement. So please stay tuned to the Township's website and social media for event updates. For more information about upcoming events, we do have a Township Events tab on our website, www.utclaremont.gov. In addition to these exciting events, the Township has begun a Mount Carmel Business Corridor beautification initiative aimed at enhancing the look and feel of Mount Carmel. A clean, vibrant, and welcoming environment not only instills pride in our community, but also attracts visitors and supports local businesses. So over the coming weeks, the township will be conducting weed cleanup along sidewalks and curbs, installing flowers and seasonal plants throughout the area along the sidewalks, and encouraging local businesses to join in by sprucing up their storefronts. Another project as part of this is updating the street banners in Mount Carmel. So we have 2 designs that you'll start recognizing throughout that area to spruce up the area. And then I'd like to finish with another way that we're going to start beginning engagement is showcasing the importance and positive impacts of native plants. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Dills?
Ms. R., well done. Good job. A lot of good stuff happening, very active this year. Well done. Good job. Appreciate it.
Trustee Becker?
No, I'm loving all this activity, and it's popular with the public. Keep up the good work.
Mr. Becker, are you going to join the pickleball tournament?
You mean as like a player actively, out
I
of the
don't know what
court?
this is, but yeah, sure, yeah.
No. I will be there to watch.
There you go.
Hey, great work. Phenomenal. Continue to see the growth of followers so that when we do have important messages to get out to the community, it helps us get that important message if it's fire safety related out to the community. And so it's really impactful work that you do overall by allowing the community to just connect better, especially with their local government, and make sure that we're on the pulse of what the community is interested in. So thank you, Ms. R. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Township Administrator, Mr. Corey Wright.
Thank you, sir, and I'll be brief. We've heard a lot of good things going on this summer. Just the water line project with the county, the project's in testing phase. We had the contractor experienced a couple of failures during the pressure testing. Nothing too major, but I'm pleased to report they fixed those issues, and they're now in the testing and water quality. They actually test the main and do sampling and other things before they put it in service. So that project happened very quickly, and we were very pleased with really once they mobilized how quickly they were able to get that done. So I think, tying that into Mr. Taylor's extensive communication with the splash pad contractor, that's all been tied together, and I continue to correspond with him at least daily, if not more so, on that project and the park, Veterans Park improvements too, which you see stuff coming out of the ground. It is very exciting to see that. We had some landscaping improvements in the roundabouts, continuing our beautification efforts along with the county's installation. When it's above 90-ish, we don't want to really put plants in the ground. It doesn't matter how much you water them, they will get shocked. So we're kind of waiting on a little bit cooler weather, maybe something in the low to mid 80s, and you'll start to see some work progress on that soon. The shared use path behind the Civic Center, sort of what we call as the keystone of the future pedestrian improvements, kind of tying into what's already been done on I-Colts and, upcoming stuff. Construction's coming along nicely. We're a couple weeks out on lighting. Duke Energy has all the stuff. They just have to show up. I think there's some drainage improvements that have to occur still, and then some gravel, and then once everybody's out of there, we'll get the finished surface course in. So that's positive in that regard. The state audits are generally complete. I think the Ivy Point JED, that's probably our largest JED. There's that's the only one outstanding, and the city of Milford is assisting us with that. A couple of notable upcoming meetings. We have 2 SID meetings on July 21st, which have been noticed in the paper and on our website. We also have a Records Commission meeting on July 21st, which has also been noticed on our website as well and in the papers. Just some housekeeping items for this year, so we can continue to address that. We actually posted a survey, community survey about UTTV as a follow-up to the board's conversation last month, and are conducting some additional research in that regard. We expect to have a UTCIC meeting later this month to award a couple of significant contracts to start the renovations of the new service facility. So you'll see that, and there'll be a request for a board CIC meeting here soon. It's going to access control and IT work, under Lieutenant Blankenship's supervision, and Brandon's work on that is now I believe it's underway now or in process as well. So things are going well, and then we met for some office furniture and space planning needs also last week with Mr. Ebright and myself. We're working on the trail detention and the detention parcel over at the high school site, so that's continuing. There'll be some zoning hearings tonight. We have 3 properties for nuisance. We do expect to file the joint OPWC application for Elmont and Old 74, so that'll be a significant project. Fix a long-standing drainage issue and also increase, add a left turn lane all the way through both of those intersections there. So that'll be a great project, and appreciate the county's support and partnership in that regard. Couple other things tonight. We have a resolution related to a Ohio Air Quality Financing Authority project that our friends at Rumpke Consolidated Waste are pursuing. It involves the TIF. What this does, this resolution will, basically reaffirm that the TIF is the only exemption that stays in place, and there are no other exemptions, and we will continue to receive the service payments that we anticipated from the project as a result of this. So that resolution, apologize for the late ad, but it was kind of a flurry of activity over the last week and a half to get it to this point. So that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
Trustee Dills?
Mr. Wright, outstanding job. For once, I don't have anything for you. Appreciate you, sir.
Trustee Becker?
I'm good.
One quick question here.
Yes, sir.
Board considering the zoning tax amendments in July, along with the rezoning proposal for single-family residential development along Beechwood Road.
Yes, that
Is
was tabled.
Second half of it?
Yeah, that was tabled.
That's
So
that they pulled back, right?
yeah, and I apologize. I create these things as a running list while I,
That's what I figured.
yeah, so that was tabled.
That's what I figured. I just wanted to make sure that I was
Yes, sir.
interpreting and reading that
Yes.
on track with where you were, so, okay. Great work, Mr. Wright, thank you.
Not tabled, I clarify, withdrawn.
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 Yeah, withdrawn.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep, there you go.
withdrawn.
Yeah, sorry.
Mr. Lowe, real quick. Mr. Wright, there are a few folks from the Beechwood site. Have you heard anything from the developer? Do they plan on doing anything at all, or are they just going to simply table it for now and we have no idea?
I think, what I've heard is that they're gonna go back and look at it. They heard the community, they withdrew the case, they're gonna go back and look at it and look at a couple different options. I guess maybe you might see some surveying activity and stuff like that.
Okay.
But, I don't have an ATA on what they're gonna do or if they're gonna do anything.
To get anything done back there would require, potentially outside of our jurisdiction, a variance from the county engineer's office for
So,
the
yeah.
access, because that driveway is narrow?
Yeah, the county would have to grant, so the county typical section is usually a 50-foot right-of-way with 2 10-foot utility easements on either side. There have been instances in our township and other townships where a reduced width right-of-way have been approved if the developer can demonstrate that, adequate room for the utilities. Really, what you end up with is the county doesn't like to put utilities in the pavement, generally. And Mr. Taylor can attest to that and they especially don't like the water lines in the pavement because those are the things that break the most often, and they don't like to have to dig those up and fix them.
Yeah.
So they put those utility easements on either side of a traditional, you drive down, I'll just pick a street, let's just say in Weatherby Farms, perfect example, 50-foot wide, curb and gutter, and then there's an easement that kind of goes behind the right-of-way where there's utility boxes and stuff like that, the green boxes, And so what they'll do is they'll look at that, and they can grant, exceptions to that if they can show significant travel width, a different curb configuration in lieu of that rolled curb, which takes up a lot of space. There's something that you see, it's called a type 6 curb. It's about that wide, but it's very deep. So that actually reduces that footprint and gives more to the travel lanes. Travel lanes are pretty set, minimum 24-foot wide. That's 2 12-foot travel lanes. They would have to, some places they've allowed a single loaded sidewalk instead of a double loaded sidewalk where it makes sense, because again, you try to reduce as much pavement where applicable or where you could do that. So there are instances where the county engineer's office and the planning commission can grant what I would call an alternative typical section. But that doesn't mean that it's not sufficient to, still has to accommodate traffic, it still has to be safe, it still has to be geometrically, defined, it has to meet grades and all that. It's just, it's a different way to build a street, is all it is. So, thank you.
Gentlemen, moving on for public hearings. Union Township zoning case number 1-25-Tango. So zoning text amendment to Union Township zoning resolution amendments to Article 6, district regulations, Article 9, signage regulations, and Article 13, overlay district regulations. Gentlemen, do you have any need to have a further introduction on that, or do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion it?
Go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
All right, this is the public hearing for Union Township zoning case number 1-25-Tango. Yeah, roll call vote for that.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
The public
Thanks.
hearing is open at 7:17.
7:17, okay. Gentlemen, do you have any further interest for introduction on that, or I'll ask if there's any proponents here for the case tonight? Okay, seeing none, are there any opponents for the public hearing case? All right. Mr. Wright, do you have anything further that you'd want to add?
No,
for
just
the
that
board's awareness?
Mr. McCormick did a good job with this, just some housekeeping items on Article 6, Article 9 with our signage, and then on our overlay regs. And this was an amendment that the board actually initiated I think a couple months ago, or a month and a half ago, consistent with statute 519. And then the zoning commission reviewed it, recommended unanimous approval at their last meeting. And now this is the next step in the process. It comes before the board, so.
All right, this time we'll close the public hearing. Roll call. Or we have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Public hearing is closed at 7:19 PM.
All right, gentlemen, open for board comments.
None. Cut and dry.
Mr. All right, gentlemen, do we have a motion to approve the zoning text amendment for Union Township zoning resolution amendments, Article 6, district regulations, Article 9, signage regulations, and Article 13, overlay district regulations?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
A public hearing case, Union Township overlay case number 6-25-Oscar. This is a overlay district application to accommodate new 4,100 square foot garage commercial office. Applicants John Petru, sites 4325 Mount Carmel Tabasco Road, Cincinnati, Ohio 45244, parcel ID 4141144E049. Mr. McCormick, would you like to do a brief introduction on this overlay case?
Yes. So the site is 4325 Mount Carmel Tabasco Road. Parcel number is referenced in the report and on the slide. 0.922 acre site zone business. And the request is to construct a 100 square foot building for enclosed personal vehicle storage. You can see in the vicinity map the location of the site here on the corner of Auxier Drive and Mount Carmel Tabasco. You see the zoning of the subject property and what's around it. The red is business. Yellow is, I believe, R1. And then PD is what's around, sorry, it's R2, it was hard to see. And then PD is to the southwest. This is the aerial view of the topography. The darker yellow, thicker lines are 10 foot, and the others are 2 foot. So we'll stop here. The Auxier subdivision was platted in '56, and in 2007, Lot 1 and 2 were combined. And so what is now one lot used to be two lots. The applicant's proposal is to basically subdivide almost back into the exact same configuration as what was originally platted in 1956. And again, this is for personal vehicle storage. Here's the oblique image. This is looking south along Mount Carmel, Tabasco, looking west on Auxier, looking towards the site further on Auxier, looking southeast, and from Auxier looking across the site, same thing. And this is looking north on Mount Carmel Tabasco Road, and this is looking from the what would be the remainder tract. This is the proposed site plan. The concept generally appears to be consistent with the recommendations of the land use plan. This is what the proposed building looks like from different elevations. There's the interior configuration. There's the proposed landscaping plan. And staff comments, in addition to addressing concerns of other agencies, we would need to know that the applicant was addressing the traditional high-quality building material for half or more of the building requirement. Access easement through the property to the land remain to the south, and of course the land use plan. Sidewalk easement to be provided for future sidewalk along Mount Carmel. An updated photometric plan with some details, a more detailed landscaping plan, signage plan if it would ever be needed. We have to meet the requirements, and then we have some site plan deficiencies that we would address during a subsequent review process. Any questions about the written report?
Trustee Dills?
Mr. McCormick, was there, by the way, good job on your signage, on all these zoning cases. I noticed them, by the way. Good job. Any issues from the board, zoning?
This did not go to the zoning board. I will note that we did not have any written comments
That's what I was
on
gonna
this
ask.
case.
Was anybody?
No calls, other than people maybe just asking what was happening.
If we do the change, what all are they allowed to do in the future?
They would be limited to what they're asking for now. This would be a personal storage building. In a lot of ways, it would resemble what's on the south, the remaining portion of the property that was originally its own lot.
Yeah.
That lot had the old house left on it, and then I guess they remodeled the house and added an addition onto the back. And you can tell it's kind of a hodgepodge of different architecture uses that have occurred over time on that piece. We would not have a curb cut here on Mount Carmel, Tabasco. The county would probably not allow it in the first place. You'd either have to come in off Auxier, or you'd have to have an easement from the parcel to the south, which there's difficulty in getting really good access because there's limited space in the rear yard and limited space in the front, because what's in the front here is a proposed detention area for stormwater.
That's all I got. Thank you, sir.
Trustee Becker?
I'm good.
Gentlemen, this is a public hearing, so do we have a motion to open the public hearing for Union Township overlay case number 6-25-Oscar?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Campbell?
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Public hearing is open at 7:24 PM.
Is the applicant here? Yes. Gonna bring the applicant up?
Good evening, gentlemen. We really appreciate your opportunity. You've given us this opportunity this evening to consider the proposal to build a 4,100 square foot building at 4325 Mount Carmel Tabasco Road at the intersection of Auxier Drive. My name is John Petru, and this is Chris Bechtel. Chris is the architect for our proposed building, and he would also be a partner in the building. We wanted to discuss briefly just two items that were proposed in the recommended modification section of our case. I believe all of you received those. The first is point number 2 under the recommended modifications, and that proposed modification recommends that we use wood or similar traditional high-quality building materials such as hardy plank siding in lieu of the attractive metal siding that we have recommended.
John?
Yes.
Before you go further.
Yes, sir.
You're the applicant, but can I swear you in for the case? For the
Yes.
public hearing? Sorry. You're fine to stay at the podium. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
And then name and address, just for the record.
John Catrew, 436 Trailview Court, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45244.
All right, thank you. Sorry about not getting that out of the way before you
Okay,
got
no
started
problem.
into it.
No problem. I
Thanks.
understand. So, at any rate, I know it's been recommended that we use like the hardy plank type siding, that sort of thing, in lieu of the metal siding that we have currently recommended for the building. And our contention is that the metal siding choices that we've proposed they're very attractive, high quality, long lasting. As a matter of fact, we have a samples right here of some of the siding that we would use. And in a portion of the building, we would use, and what's the terminology? Chris?
Board and batten.
Board and batten type of.
This is a board and batten profile. Repeats every 10 inches.
Okay. And so, you know, just one thing that we'd like for you to consider is that we would use these materials for the building. We're certainly open to further discussion on that subject, though, with the staff. Second item is found under number 4 of the recommended modifications. And this is the proposed modification, which would ask us to include an access easement. We do not feel in this situation that an access easement or a consolidated shared driveway configuration would be practical. Our rationale in this is, given the size of the proposed lot and our site plan for the lot, adding such an access easement would greatly impact the location of the stormwater detention area, the placement of the building, and most likely render the plan unworkable. So again, we would respectfully request that an access easement not be required for approval. That is it. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Trustee Dills?
Okay, so, by the way, Mr. Petru, thank you for coming up here.
Yes, sir.
Where do you want access to it at, with, the retention pond there? Where are you wanting it?
Well, we're saying, well, there was a recommendation that there be an access. And we're saying we don't think that that's practical in this case.
Well, how are you gonna get to it? How are you going to get to it?
Mark, can you make a comment on that? Yes.
He's asking how we can get to it.
If you don't have an access, what am I missing?
We would access it off of Oxear.
I see what you're saying, okay.
Oh, I see, okay, yeah, so
Mhm.
instead of there being, okay, I see. I think I agree with you. Also, I don't want to step on product toes, but I own a roofing company. I do siding every day.
Yes, sir.
I don't know who came up with Hardy, but I 1,000% agree with him. I think Hardy is junk. I don't use it. I don't like it. I hate installing the product. Board and batten's solid, looks beautiful. I agree with him. I don't know who came up with the Hardy. I would have been an absolute no vote on that if that would have came to me. I agree with the applicant for what it's worth. I hate Hardy. It's a terrible product, and I do not install it unless the customer absolutely insists on it.
Right.
So for what it's worth, so that's just my personal opinion, gentlemen. I'll defer to you guys, but I also don't have a problem. I don't think I'll ask for Mr. McCormick to decide, but yeah, I mean it looks pretty narrow. If you're gonna put the retention water there and on the rear side, Oxear seems like the only capable access to it, is my thoughts, but we'll discuss as a board in a second. But as far as questions? No, I think the build's fine, looks pretty, looks good, so, and I agree with you on the siding as well.
Okay.
So,
Thank you very much.
no problem. Hold on one second, Mr. Pitcher.
Trustee Becker?
Yeah, so we got 4,100 square feet for garage and commercial office.
Yes, sir.
Tell me more about the commercial office.
Well, it would be a private office. It would just be an area that we would use, for our own records and that sort of thing. No business would be operated out of it. Strictly personal.
Basically, a small office and a utility area that support for space for the mechanical equipment, the heating, cooling, plumbing for the building. And there also be a toilet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's all, Chairman.
So it's three commercial buildings, mix of dining, retail, office, educational, childcare uses, which would.
Wrong case.
Wrong case?
Wrong case.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, I had to thumb through
I
them
saw
all.
you doing so much
Oh, they
work
were,
over here, too.
okay, yeah.
They're out of
They weren't
sequence.
in the top-down order. Okay, apologize for that, gentlemen. Okay, all right, thank you. Now, at this time, then, we'll ask for any proponents of the case. Any proponents? Yes, sir, please.
Yes, my name is David Kaler.
Dave Taylor?
Kaler,
Kaler?
yes,
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And state your full name and record for the address, please. Thank you.
My name is David Kaler. I reside at 432 Trailview Court, Cincinnati. I am the owner of record of this combined property today, and I've worked with Mr. Wright in his office prior to this proposal, and I am fully supportive of this proposal as the owner of the property. So I just wanted to let you know who I am and that I support this this motion. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any opponents of the case? What, Trustee Becker, I'm sorry, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I do have one more question.
Please.
So just so I'm understanding, this is a storage building, cars, small office built inside, so we're not talking about customers in and out, we're not talking about a lot of traffic,
at
we're
all.
not talking about a lot of noise.
Exactly.
Doesn't sound like there's going to be a problem for the community at all.
That's exactly right.
So I do understand it correctly.
You understand it
Okay.
perfectly.
Just checking.
Yes, sir.
That's all, Chairman.
Is this currently the home of the Sword Roofing Company?
Yes.
In the other parcel, that would be the remaining parcel, that's, my tenant is still working.
Okay, so they're gonna remain in that building, and you're Galaxy Dave Enterprises LLC? Okay. Yeah. Any opponents of the case? All right, seeing none, will, gentlemen, take a motion to close public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Roll call?
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
We close the public hearing at 7:34 PM.
Gentlemen, it's open to board comment. Trustee Dills?
I have no problem with it as submitted. I would like to hear either Mr. Wright or Mr. McCormick talk if they're fine with the easement that the applicant's requesting. I don't see a problem with it, but I'd like to ask them both, and then I obviously stated my case on why I don't like hardy siding, and if we're okay with them using that siding instead. Mr. McCormick, do you have anything? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I talked to the applicant about the draft report, I think last week or so. He got back in touch with me today. We were talking about these particular items. With respect to the access easement, when you look at the building configuration, there's only really two places you could put in access, even if it's for emergency purposes. It'd have to be behind the building there, along the back side of the property that abuts the residential area, and it would be tight. or you're looking at the front yard, where there's a detention basin, and either place is kind of gonna be a tight fit, and I don't know that we would wanna, after we talked about it, I don't know that there's a lot of room to try to put in an emergency access, even though that would be ideal if there were more room to navigate around the building. The better place probably of the two, given if the detention basin is where it is and can't be made smaller, is probably the rear, but then you're putting a emergency access next to the residential, so it's more of a recommendation for emergency purposes. I don't know that I mean, what's the likelihood we're gonna have a huge issue on this property? In an ideal world, we'd have a shared access point, but because of the configuration that we're looking at, I don't think that's possible. For the building materials, I 100% agree with you on hardy plank. I listed it as another material that we could use.
Okay.
Not to say that the material that they're referencing is not that we wouldn't accept, it's just we didn't talk about it until today. And I told them that, you know, if they wanted to talk about the other materials, really what we're looking for is something that looks like it's going to, you know, be high-quality building material, traditional building material, or have the same look and have the same integrity as what we're looking for. And I think that what he brought here with him tonight, at least from here, from where I'm sitting, looks like it might be okay. I can't tell until I look at it a little better, but.
Yep, fair enough. Members, I'm good. Mr. Wright, did you have anything? I think you're-
No, I can just tell you, metal siding's come a long way, as I've seen, and, you know, we have some buildings in the township that are metal that you would never guess are metal. I point to, the Adams Heating and Cooling Facility, that's an architectural metal panel. The, IPM building, it looks like stucco, but that's a metal panel. City Barbecue, that's actually a metal board and batten panel, standing seam.
And
board
the same
batten,
with,
so, yeah.
Mr. Cameron was just talking about interparish members trees.
Yeah, that's like, it looks like stucco
Yeah.
until you get up close to it. So, I mean, can you show that, material board again? Yeah, that's a board and batten, it'll,
Actually, it's textured too.
yeah, so it has I mean, I think if it replicates that sort of corridor aesthetic and blends with the area, I think it's fine. And, you know, with respect to the emergency access, I mean, that's just a standard recommendation, but, you know, at the end of the day, there's only so much you can fit on this site, and I think they've done it, and I wouldn't push for it.
If it was a retail with cars going in and
Yeah,
out,
yeah,
but, whatever. That's my thoughts, but, and that material ain't cheap, so, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
This is not representative of the color.
How wide's the apron from the street to the driveway, parking area?
Are you,
Mr. McCormick?
are you talking about this right here?
Their driveway off of Ox here, how wide is that?
It's looking like it's about 20 feet, maybe a little wider at the opening.
It sounds like it's big enough to swing a semi in and out.
It's not that atypical of a driveway. I mean, you've got your double driveways in residential areas. It's not that uncommon.
Will cars be coming and going on trailers?
No, not on trail.
No? Sounds good to me.
It's on you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. And as applicant, you're aware of all 8 of the recommended modifications, including the sidewalk. And it's deferred at this time, but if a sidewalk project comes through there.
Yes.
Okay, what type of, Corey, Mr. Wright, what type of teeth is there for?
I mean, it's binding, it's a zoning requirement, and we've done that in the past where we've put that condition on other projects, I think in this vicinity, and so what would happen is, and again, you know, in the spirit of cooperation, if there's a sidewalk project that's advanced, or if you know, daisy chain enough projects that are contiguous to one another to where you can get them all, you would just say, hey, go out and build it, give them, you know, I don't know if Mr. McCormick referenced the number of days, but we would typically give somebody, you know, a few months to to plan that and implement that. Or if we had a project, for example, that was funded through like a county grant or something, like a county grant or an ODOT grant or a OKI, funding grant or whatever, we would ask them to contribute into the project and just make those accommodations at the time that the project's constructed. That's something we can handle administratively.
Okay.
And if I heard the board, if it does get favorable consideration, you'd want to modify number 2 of the staff report and then probably strike number 4. If you were, that's what I heard.
Mr. Wright, don't we typically require brick or stone for them?
Yeah, and I think that this has a water table on it, doesn't it? Doesn't have a brick water table on the bottom, Mark?
There is brick facade on the bottom.
Yeah, so like a 3 to 4 foot, I call it a water table or like a wainscot element. And a lot of metal buildings, you'll see that. They'll have a, it's kind of like about the height of the chair rail at the back, and then it's got a nice masonry component to it. And then the siding will integrate with that, so.
So that's typically what we approve then, what gets built here in recent years.
Yeah, and I think Mr. Kaler's building is fairly similar to that. At the time, I don't know, is that hardy plank, some of it? Don't answer yes if it is. Yeah, see, the original Catholic Peddler building, that was actually a home, that was a residential conversion, and then your add-on to that, which is a metal it's a pole barn or a metal building or some kind of construction. Okay. Yes. And that has like a brick water table on it, if I remember, on the front. It's got some kind of decorative element on the front, and then it's metal on the back. Yeah. Something like that. So this would blend in very nicely to what's already there, so.
Are you comfortable referencing the personal vehicles, or you can stay quiet on that? It's your personal preference. It's a very nice project, very nice building. Your personal vehicles.
They're classic cars.
We're old car guys, and we place for our old cars. Basically, that's what we do.
Very cool. Okay. All right. I have nothing further. Gentlemen, do we have a motion? What we're being asked for case 6-25-Oscar is to approve, modify, or deny the focus area overlay district application as submitted, along with any of the further modifications deemed appropriate by the board. There are the 8 recommended modifications. The applicant is aware of the 8 recommended modifications. And Mr. Wright, we're saying striking number 4.
Well, I was just observing the board's comments, and if the board were to present a favorable consideration, it sounds like you'd want to modify that to strike 2 and 4. Or strike 4 and modify 2, as noted. Did I say that right? Strike 4, modify 2.
Modify 2 for the use of
The different,
board
yeah.
and batten metal, and
Yeah.
then eliminate number 4 for the access.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
Sorry if I switched those up, sorry.
So gentlemen, do we have that motion to approve with those modifications, or to modify?
Case number 6-25-Oscar.
Yep.
Striking number 4, modifying number 2, so moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, Mr. McCormick, we've got Union Township zoning case number 27-86-Zulu PD for major amendment. It's a major amendment to an existing PD plan to accommodate additional commercial development. The applicant is Bunnell Hill Development Co. and Tony Guffrey, 0 Klepper Lane, Society, Ohio, 045-245, parcel 413-104, Alpha 117. Mr. McCormick,
Yes.
Would you like to do a brief introduction, then we'll open the public hearing and for the applicant and any proponents of when it's up?
Yes, the case number is actually 13-90-Z. We had originally, when we first put together material, put the wrong number on there, but we rectified that. So that, I did want to make sure that is corrected.
Okay. So this is public hearing case number 13-90 Zulu.
Did I make a mistake on the agenda? I
The agenda
apologize.
item is wrong, so we'll
I
note that for the record.
apologize.
Sorry.
The rest of the information is correct. The parcel number is referenced here. We have a 5.064 acre parcel zone plan development. And the request is to establish 3 commercial buildings with a mix of retail, office, and educational/care uses. Subject property is the southwest corner of Klepper Lane and Glenesti-Withamsville Road. Everything around it is zone plan development except for a small piece zone business across the street to the east. You can see the site here, a little bit zoomed in with topography, the heavier orange line being 10-foot contours. You can see the site drops down quite a bit off Glenesti-Withamsville Road. Here's the proposed site plan overlay. So the property was zoned R2 originally in 1959 and 1990. The property was rezoned to PD as part of a larger development plan. Between 94 and 95, you had 3 commercial developments proposed, including a Kohl's, a Baby Superstore, and a Steak and Shake. And then from 2001 to 2003, you had Aldi, Sam's Club, Gordon Food Service, and Chipotle all proposed as amendments to the trustees. The applicant's current proposal meets some, but not as it stands currently all of the objectives of the land use plan. I mentioned the proposed uses. The architectural plans, majority of the visible building elevations appear to consist of traditional building materials except for the one at the very north, which I'll come back to in a moment. Overall, there is a cohesive and attractive design. We have one main access off Glenesti-Withamsville Road across from Kennedy's Landing. There will need to be a acknowledgement that access point will provide also access to the property to the south. We have a sidewalk shown on part of the project. I think it was just an oversight. There's supposed to be a sidewalk also added along Klepper Lane, and so that is going to happen as part of this project. We have proposed monument sign on Glenesti-Withamsville, and that is the only location, I think, because of there being a easement for viewing for the Aldi property. They're limited in what they can put there. Here's some more images. A is the proposed, what is listed right now is the proposed bank, which could be, they don't really know for sure what that's going to be. It could be a number of other things, but the size of the building is going to be about that size or smaller based on the easement. B will be where the proposed restaurants will be, which are in the packet, and C would be the child care facility. This is the elevation proposed to the north. The renderings for that. This is the elevation. These are the elevations for the metal piece. First Watch and BB Bop, and these are the renderings. And these are the elevations for the proposed child care facility. Here are the pictures of the site. Looking across the site to the southeast. This is looking to the northeast across the site. This is looking southwest towards Aldi. This is looking southeast. This is looking east along Klepper. And this is looking west at that intersection of Klepper. And this is looking across the property from the intersection. And this is across from the street off of Glenesti-Withamsville. Different vantage points. And this is looking across the site towards Klepper and like the Steak and Shake area. In the recommendations, other than addressing concerns of other regulatory agencies, again, we would like an acknowledgement on the plans that Glenesti-Withamsville primary access for the site is intended to be a shared access point, also for the property to the south to develop. We need sidewalk along Klepper Lane to be included. We need to modify some proposed building materials for the proposed bank structure or whatever that's going to be on the northern property a bit, but we feel like that can be addressed easily in staff review. Also recommended to break up the blank facades on the east side of the proposed structures that face Glenesti-Withamsville because of what we're trying to do with pedestrian-friendly improvements. Need a more detailed enhanced landscaping plan, signage plan. Photometric plan has been submitted, but we do need some additional information on that at some point, and we would recommend that the 2 dumpsters that were shown on the interior of the property be moved, or on the outside of the property towards the roadways be moved to the interior of the property. As it stands right now, they're shown here and here. And then would need to, for this to move forward, parcel splits would have to occur, or they would otherwise have to eliminate the split lines, and the setbacks otherwise are okay, and otherwise would have to meet the requirements for site plans in Article 11 for a final submittal for commercial zoning plan. We had no written comments and no phone calls that I'm aware of where anyone was upset about the case. Any questions for me or about the side of the report?
Trustee Dills, yeah.
Mr. McCormick, will you go through your pictures real quick? The ones you took? Keep going. I'll tell you when. Couldn't help right here. Where are you at when you took those 2?
That is from the intersection from Klepper
You standing in the
Lane.
middle of the road?
Mr. Berkey took that picture. I wouldn't be surprised if he was in the middle of the road.
Just thought I'd ask that question. Yeah.
I've done stuff like that.
Not one person's called in about it?
No.
Negatively? All right. I think I get everything. I don't have anything, sir.
Yeah. Trustee Becker?
Yeah, Mr. McCormick, describe to me on both roads, between Klepper and Glen Estee, Withensville, kind of individually, ingress and egress. And I guess what I'm concerned about is left turns. So I think going on Klepper, there's going to be a stoplight there. They come out at that intersection by Steak and Shake, is that right?
Yes, so there's already an existing right in, right out at just east of Steak and Shake. And so that is the only access point on Klepper to the site, other than you can navigate from the other properties, including Aldi, through the parking lot. So there's the right in, right out at Klepper, and then you can navigate through the parking areas to get into the site. And then the only other exterior access is going to be on Glen Estee, Withensville, and that's proposed to be right across from Kennedy's Landing. And that is proposed to be a shared access point. And they really can't go any more to the north because the county's not going to want them to be any closer to that signal than what we're looking at right there.
So on Glen Estee, Withensville, are people going to be turning left onto Glen Estee, Withensville? And there's no stoplight there?
There's not a stoplight there now. So whenever this goes to the county has to authorize the access to be where it's at. And if there's any restriction on turning movement, that'll be determined at that time.
I'm envisioning that being a busy road, and that could get exciting if you're trying to turn left.
Yes, and it's also about the point where you start to see the widening of the road. So,
Mr. Becker, I could provide a little bit more clarity on that. So if you look at the way that Glen Estee was reconstructed, you have Grosvenor Square, you have Burgoyne, and then you have Kennedy's Landing, all 3 existing intersections, okay? The stacking of such, the way that they actually put a dedicated left turn on there that comes out of the roundabout to the north toward Klepper and Glen Estee, there's several left turns that are in there. The largest stacking movement is actually across from Burgoyne, okay? And that is most likely, and I believe that's related to Mr. McCormick's comment for the joint access that has to be accommodated for both sites, and looking at this in this area and the actual geometry, because, you know, admittedly, we didn't have the full striping plan until, what was it, late last year or whatever, is when everything got, you know, cleaned up or whatever. And so you actually end up with the most left turn stacking, which would go, you know, into the site west, right at Burgoyne, because the way that Burgoyne and Kennedy's Landing, they're so close together to each other, there is not enough room for another left turn stack into that. So the intent of that comment, I believe, Mr. McCormick's comment number 2, is to coordinate with the township to develop to the south so that there's ample room to accommodate a full movement left turn that would serve both that 4-acre parcel and this particular project. And I believe Mr. McCormick has been in significant discussions with these developers to accommodate that. So the access point that they've shown is representative. There is a significant chance that it could shift 125 feet to the south to take advantage of the greater stack, the left turn stack, because if you actually go out there and drive it, you'll see it. It's hard to describe it verbally, but you literally, you got a left, you can't get a left in and then a right, or a left in from both directions to Kennedy's Landing, because they're trying to get people in coming southbound, so they have a left turn in. There's not enough room to reaccommodate that on the other side. So that is the logical place to accommodate a left in, or a left movement is basically across from Burgoyne, and there would be eventually a shared use that gives a full left, a safe full left with adequate stacking into both parcels and preserves their ability to have a dedicated left turn from Glen Estee for traffic accessing the site from the south. In addition, you also have the dedicated left at Glen Estee, which is another signalized intersection. They'll be able to go on Glen Estee to Klepper and then access at the light at Aldi and get into the site. So you'll have multiple ways in and out in that site. But the whole point of that comment is to coordinate access between the two parcels so you don't have curb cuts everywhere. And that's been an ongoing discussion.
Okay, so review with me then on Klepper.
So Klepper's here.
Cars wheeled, going through
No.
parking lots to try to get to a stoplight,
Well,
so
no,
they can turn left?
yeah, we have an access easement right here. So this is the Aldi building right here.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
there's Aldi. So you have, there is a stoplight just off the plan set right here.
Okay.
So this navigates, they all have cross-access easements across through that. So they can navigate this way and this way to this signal right here.
Okay, so these are like roads?
Yeah,
Not like
these-
going through a parking lot?
Yeah, they're dedicated travel ways. It's very
Okay.
similar to like Meyer. Drive over at Meyer, you got different access drives and things like that.
Okay.
And then this would shift south approximately 125 feet to Burgoyne, and then there would be a joint access easement accommodated through the development of that site that then, weaves its way into that. So then you actually have a safe, I think it's 3 or 4 left turn stack. Is that right, Mark? It's like 3 or 4 cars here to get in left, and then you have another dedicated left at Klepper that gets you in at this light right here, and then people can navigate into the site. And then a right in, right out.
All right, then. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Trustee Dills, anything else? Or at this time, gentlemen, ask for a motion to open the public hearing, open the case for Union Township, case 13-90-Zulu.
Yeah, so moved.
Second?
Roll call, Mr. Campbell.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
The public hearing is open at 7:59 PM.
All right, we have the applicant here tonight. I swear you in for the public hearing. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, can you please give your name and full address and then say?
Tony Giuffre, Blunt Hill Development, 3000G Hankel Drive, Lebanon, Ohio, 45036.
John Bayer.
Step up to the microphone, please.
Sorry. John Bayer with Bayer Becker, 6900 Tylersville Road, Mason, Ohio.
Thank you.
So I'm a representative for the developer. I got John Bayer with my engineer. He can answer any site-specific questions, but first just want to thank Mark and Cody and the board for the help, guidance so far. We really do appreciate it because this site has been difficult to say the least. As some of you know, it has been sitting vacant for some years now due to constraints like you've already mentioned, like the access, some no-build lines, utilities, but through the past half year to a year, we've worked through that. And I think that we have a really good plan for the site, but most importantly, the community with the end users in there right now. So
We're excited to keep things moving. Appreciate your consideration tonight. We can answer any questions you guys have.
Thank you. Trustee Dills, any questions?
I don't want to pronounce your last name wrong. Is it?
Jufre.
Jufre.
Yeah.
Okay, Jufre. Appreciate you coming tonight. Mr. McCall, will you throw it back up there for me? The design over, a little more zoomed out.
May have to switch back to the other one.
That's okay.
Yeah, so these are our slides, just with the elevations, kind of explaining.
Okay, Mr. Dufresne, I want to tell you something. I like the bank. I like First Watch. I think it'll crush it there. My question real quick is, do you already have these tenants lined up, or is this a vision that you have? For example, the daycare. Do you have a daycare already lined up?
So the daycare was our core client, and that's how we found the site.
Yeah.
And BP Bop and First Watch kind of came with the site.
All right.
So we do have a signed lease with the daycare. They're ready to go. They're excited.
So, I hate to be the buzzkill here, but I'm going to tell you, I love everything but the daycare. I'm going to tell you why. Number one is a new daycare we just approved a month or two ago over at Ivy Point by Fairfax. And number two, I have made it crystal clear since day one. There's a few things I want to do. I want to revamp our parks completely. We're almost done with that goal in 4 years. But the residents, we did a survey. And the survey we put out, we got a lot of responses. Number one response we got was, we want a really cool happening restaurant brewery in this township, something like that. Like a Little Miami Brewery, something like that to come here to Eastgate. And so I have made it crystal clear, that's what I want one bad. That site just south of that daycare, we almost had a deal done, but it kind of fell through. And so that site's going to have that there. We're going to make it happen. You're going to have, March 1st, Little Miami Brewery, the works, something's going to go there, and it's going to be adjacent to your daycare where little 5-year-olds run around. So, I'm gonna ask my administrator to talk for a second. Well, actually, I'll do that when we have public comments. But I'm just telling you, if that is make or break, and if we can't get a deal done on the brewery, I'm going to unfortunately be a no vote on this because of that. And I hate that. But I'm going to let our administrator talk after everyone else has talked. But I'm not, that was a top 3 goal of mine, is I wanted to get a deal done, because there's nothing but franchise restaurants in Union Township. Applebee's, a Charlie's, Steak and Shake, they're dying on our survey to have something like that to our township, and I promised I would deliver on that. And I feel like the other 2 trustees fully back that as well. But that's, I don't know where my question's at, but I'm just telling you, kind of stinks that it's a daycare.
Yeah,
Just talking as a personal resident that lives here, raises my family here, everything, that stinks, it's kind of a daycare.
Yeah, they are aware of that potential development and the connection to that site.
Yeah.
And we did our best to kind of make that site stand alone with retaining walls separating it from the rest of the site. It has its own parking lot that isn't accessed by the rest of the development. So we're doing our best to kind of cage them in, keep them separate from everyone else and all the noise going around.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. And then when the chairman opens it up for board discussion, I'll bring our administrator on and get his thoughts on it. Personally, I wish it wasn't a daycare. I will absolutely be a big time customer of everything else. Just the daycare being right next to that site has been primed for what we want to do, what I want to do at least, and then I'll let the other 2 talk on their part. But I like everything else. I like the design. I think the buildings are fine. I have no problem with the entrance, exit. I have no problem with everything else. Just the type of business going in, I'm like, oh, we've been priming this for a brewery forever. So, but it's all good. It's all good. No worries. We'll let it play out. So, yeah, no problem. Mr. Chairman.
Trustee Becker.
Unless you have any additional commentary or clarification on my concerns about ingress and egress, I didn't have any further questions.
John can probably address that better than I can.
Yeah.
So just a couple of quick notes to add to Corey's discussion there. Firstly, regarding the access easement, we're fully aware of that requirement, and we'll provide that to, again, continue access further to the south to provide that future access. The second piece, and as Corey alluded to in his previous discussions regarding the Beechwood Road rezoning, similarly with this site, our access points, utility detail design, stormwater design will be pieces that we work through with the county engineer's office for approval. And the first thing when I call the county engineer's office to ask for an access, the first question I'll ask is, what are your uses in this development? So with the hopeful recommendation for approval this evening, we'd have the firmed up uses that are here before you that then we could more further those discussion with the county engineer's office to, again, detail exactly what they'll require to provide those accesses, whether we're looking at some of those traffic patterns nearby or doing any further analysis for that access. So again, similarly to the Beechwood Road site, and would they request access on Beechwood Road, they'd be asked to do certain analysis, so we'll be going through those same discussions with the engineer's office.
Clap Road's a county road, right?
Yes.
And so is Glenessee Westville.
I believe
They're both
so.
county roads,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And Trustee Dills, if you'll entertain me for just a moment.
Please.
I'm going to admit something that maybe I shouldn't in a public forum, but here we go. I have a toddler that's in daycare as well, and across the street from the daycare there's a brewery. And on occasion, my wife and I utilize the daycare as our babysitter for an early afternoon date night out, then pick up our child from daycare. So while maybe the combination seems odd, it has served us extremely well in a place that's tough to find a daycare for a couple hours to get a one date night, a quarter or so on the agenda. So it's not the worst combination I've heard, trust me.
Mr. Barry, you're a good salesman.
Thanks.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, so, yeah, I don't think I recognize the use of proposed as being incompatible for the location of the site. I really don't have that burning concern right now. I know in that location, I view that as it's kind of an entry point to moving south through the Glenessee Withemsville there. I call that kind of a Main Street project to try to make that a more walkable center for people in the community, because really from the sidewalk connectivity there all the way down through, it's going to connect down to Veterans Park, where we're doing a nice investment. The daycare as your anchor tenant, a couple questions on that. How large is that building for the daycare? Are you restricted to saying who the tenant is at this time?
I'm not. So it's a 10,000 square foot daycare with about a 5,000 square foot play yard. The tenant is a learning experience. And they have, just from the top of my mind, over 400 locations nationally. What really sets them apart too from other daycares is they have their own curriculum. They have their own YouTube channel, their own animals. If you have a kid, you can look them up. I think it's like Bubbles or something on YouTube, but I think that it's not a big corporation run. It looks like it, but it's run by a franchisee. And me and my wife actually went to the new location in Blue Ash, a little secret shopper, and we actually had the owner show us around. She does that for everyone. So it's got the national brand and operations, but the small town feel with the franchisee. So it's a really well-run organization. And we also have 2 more approved, one in Mason that we're starting here in the next couple months, and one in Lebanon. So it will be a network of daycares if they ever need any help from one of the neighboring sites.
Okay. Is it the same franchisee?
That we don't know yet. It may be. They usually like to keep it in the same market, but I'm not 100% on that. We just signed the lease about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Do we have the elevations of the learning experience, Mr. McCormick? Do you have that? Because I didn't see too much, I guess, with that and the 5,000 square foot. I'm looking at the overhead of the Blue Ash location right now. I mean, it's a monster of a.
Yeah, so that was a retrofit. It used to be a restaurant.
Okay.
And
Oh yeah, that was that horse place, huh?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
What was that called? Yeah.
It was a restaurant. I
You
think.
know, they had the racehorses on the inside.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. All right. Okay. But no, it looks like a nice program. So hours of operation on that? I'm curious to know, because I'm also thinking that it's likely, again, not a
Yes.
full evening.
No, so 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Usually anywhere from 170 to 180 kids. Staff's 25 to 30 a day, 40 parking spots, and then the pickup they have down pretty well if you have the parking lot set up exactly how we do. In the morning, it's about 5 minutes from 6:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And at night, it's about 8 minutes from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m.
8 minutes pickup window,
Yes,
turnaround?
pickup, yep. And they're not usually open on the weekends unless they have some type of graduation or something.
How does that work if south of that property, there's a nice big brewery that gets landed there and there needs to be excess parking in the evenings and stuff? Is it gonna be a bunch of no parking signs, do you know, from the tenant? Or how have they worked? What type of history do you have where they've worked well with the community and their neighbors?
I can have the conversation. I'm sure they wouldn't mind if the cars were removed before morning, but I'd have to
Before
have
and
the
outside,
conversation.
yeah, not to interrupt their operations.
Mhm.
Yeah. Mr., I don't know if that's a unique question as far as that is, but I know that, you know, parking inevitably gets to be, and it's like when there's
Yeah, I mean, I think whenever you
something
have,
that could be compatible.
yeah, whenever you have like a mixed use area, and again, we're so used to looking at 1 acre sites with single users on them. And whenever you have mixed use sites where you have cross compatible uses with different hours of operation, there is the potential, the ability to share parking and to have those, you know, those synergies so that, you know, the sites, you can actually get more value out of the site that way. And I could envision that, you know, again, if you look at these tenants, you know, whether it's a bank, whether it gets converted to a coffee shop or whatever, you know, that's gonna have a particular, you know, load time on that, which is gonna be like a morning load, maybe a morning midday load as far as the parking goes. You know, First Watch, that tenant, I mean, I don't know that they're open past noon, 1 o'clock, most
I
days.
think 3, not that I go
Oh,
there
I
often,
know.
but.
Well, I've never been there, past 11 a.m. You know, and then, so you get that fast casual, and then, so then the other restaurant next to it, I think their hours are later. So, you know, they have the ability to share parking, you know, the demands aren't crazy. When one's ramping up and other one's ramping down, you know, obviously the daycare, that's a daytime use, you know, with some limited maybe, I wish I could
working
find the
parents.
daycare that does the night out kind of thing where you could do that. That's kind of cool or whatever. I mean, you know, maybe there's an opportunity for that or whatever, you know, with those uses being next to each other. I personally am unaware of any restriction that would prohibit these uses. They don't strike me as being incompatible. You know, and again, I have some experience working in an area where, you know, you point to alcohol sales. I think Chipotle sells alcohol on premise already now. You can buy, I think, beer and other things there. You know, I believe First Watch, at least some of them I've been to, they sell alcohol. Mimosas, I think usually, that is alcoholic beverage, if you want to call it that. It's not what I would choose, but those are, you know, sold there on, and they may or may not pursue a liquor permit.
You seem like a mimosa kind of guy.
I don't know about that. I'm not interested. So, but I don't necessarily view the uses as necessarily incompatible, and it is a challenging site. I don't have a crystal ball on that, but I think if they buffer it, they screen it appropriately, they segregate the use appropriately, I think there's probably a way to nestle it in there. If it makes the project work, which it sounds like it's part of the project, there's got to be a way to reconcile that. So, I mean, again, we can do whatever the board wants to do. If you want to encourage them to continue that discussion on how to compartmentalize and isolate that in a manner that it doesn't interfere with other, you know, maybe not incompatible, but not necessarily use adjacent type, you know, uses that are not, you know, you're not talking about a daycare and a dry cleaner, you're talking about, uses that are gonna have different hours of operation and all that. We could certainly add that as a condition to continue to work through that, through the entitlement process or whatever. But again, I don't have a crystal ball, so.
All right, hey, thank you. I just looked up to your other location there, Liberty Center for the learning experience. I actually just drove by there the other day. And that does strike me as a very well-structured, smart development project that's been going on. So obviously learning experience being kind of part of that, and see where it also fits in with likely targeting the fact of all the multifamily that's right in that dense area. It's probably impactful. And then with our job growth that we have, TQL having 3,000 jobs on site, Cincinnati Children's Hospital opening, the VA facility. I think that's, you gotta have opportunities to provide for families that have daycare requirements. So 170, 180 kids, it's pretty significant. The building in the middle, Bravo, was there a third storefront? There's not a potential tenant right now? Or is that second, only 2 storefronts?
The bank to the north.
Sorry, no. I thought the middle building, so is that only Bibby Bop and only
B, he's talking about B.
Bravo?
Oh, B? Oh, okay. That is BP Bop on the end, and then First Watch on the other end. We do not have end user for the middle 2,000 square foot portion yet.
Okay. How large is the Bibby Bop in the First Watch?
BP Bop is 3,000 square feet, I believe, and then First Watch is 4,000.
Okay. And that those are not signed leases?
Those, well, we've been having some discussions. We flipped First Watch so that the patio is facing Glen SD to make it more appeasing. So before it was BP Bop with a drive-through, and for this corridor, it kind of goes better. So right now we're renegotiating the LOIs, but we should have a lease done with both of them in the next month or two.
Okay. What type of business are you gonna try to target for the 2,000 square foot space?
We've had some hits with other restaurant types, but there is some restrictions in both BP Bops and First Watch leases that kind of prohibited some of those to go in that spot. So we're still working through trying to figure out what would be best fit. We were talking to psychologists for a minute. We think something medical could be a good fit there, but at this point in time, we really don't know.
Is it other restaurant restrictions that BB Bop?
Just what, on the type of food they sell.
Does Mexican fit?
Yes, that would fit, yeah.
That would fit?
Yep.
I don't know if that's big enough for a place like Mi Cozumel, but they're doing some rapid expansion. They're a locally Union Township owned business.
Okay.
You familiar with them?
Oh, yeah.
Lebanon?
My wife loves Mexican, so.
They did a really great job in that location with her up in Lebanon, but I don't know the square footage of that.
About I think 5 to 4, was it, Mark, was it 4,500, 5,000?
Is that what they were looking for?
Something like that.
More, yeah.
Can't make that building twice the size, huh?
We approve it.
Can you, does that site have any, does that site currently have space that you'd be able to have larger?
I mean, if we don't put a bank on the corner, that's 37,000 square feet, and the only restriction for that site is that it can't sell burgers because of the Steak and Shake. So if the Mexican place agreed not to sell burgers, it could work there.
Man.
So that could be an option.
Typically, you have like cheeseburger on the kids' menu.
Yeah.
Mexican places, and they're actually pretty good. Okay. That'd be a great spot for that.
Do you by chance have a contact for?
Yeah, he'll
We
get it
do.
to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great spot for that. I think the bank would, unless you have to have a drive-through, but the bank could be in the middle or something, or you just forego the bank. There's a lot of banks right around the corner from there as it is.
Yeah.
So, there's no signed lease with the bank right now?
No.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I know those are more in-depth questions about kind of some operations and stuff, not necessarily things that we have jurisdiction over, but to try to share information and insight from the community where we can, I think is always beneficial. All right, Gentlemen, I'm good with the applicant for the time being.
I got a question.
Yeah, Mr. Trustee.
You just said something that's, it's like, what? How does Steak and Shake, what's their involvement here? How do they have veto power over who can serve burgers and who can't?
There's a lot of restricted covenants on this site, and it took us about 4 or 5 months to get through them. But on this portion of the site, this is, a no-build line goes directly through it. On this portion, it's connected to Steak and Shake somehow, and you cannot sell burgers on this portion.
I had no idea. Okay, thank you for that explanation.
I think that's what this line is here, right?
Yeah, and this is one of the complicated parts of getting this site plan together.
That's that line.
Yeah, we couldn't put a building, that line could not go through buildings, it's line of sight.
Aldi's is right here.
It's about an acre and a half of the site that's encumbered by that view shed restriction.
And Aldi also has a 100-foot restriction for daycares, so we couldn't put the daycare back towards Aldi, so that was another issue.
On.
A lot of balls to juggle.
Aldi has a restriction on daycare?
Yeah, that, we thought that was a little strange, but yes.
What kind of strange stuff?
I don't know why, I was there though.
Someone was trying, I don't know, I just wondered the past history on that. Someone was trying to probably carve that location out that it couldn't be certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they didn't like kids. Okay. Do you have any other questions on?
I do not, sir.
Do you feel better about the learning experience being what they're, and the fact of that a potential brewery or something to the south, it sounds like it may work by hearing from the team?
Yeah, I'll talk about it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Anyone else?
All right, we'll move it forward then. I'll continue this public hearing for proponent testimony. Do you want to, please? Please come up to the microphone. I got to swear you in for proponent testimony. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Name and address for the record, please.
Michael Kravitz, 4162 Brandon Moore Drive. Very quick, my wife and I, we go to BB Bop quite a bit. It's a great restaurant, and the food is very healthy, which is something I think this community could actually use. That's all.
Tell me a little bit about the menu. I have not eaten there. What's your favorite thing?
It's sort of like it's a Thai type
Okay,
place.
that's what I thought.
Everything is, it doesn't have fried food.
Yeah.
It has rice and,
Okay.
and different cooked vegetables.
Okay. Perfect.
And it's very popular. The one we went to, I think, is Montgomery. Yeah, in Montgomery. We
Yeah.
went to the one in Montgomery. And, I recommend you guys try it.
Yeah.
You'll see what I mean. I don't have any stock in BB Bop.
Yeah.
So,
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
okay.
Anyone else for proponent testimony?
More advocates for BB Bop.
I just have a question.
I got to swear you in for the public.
Oh, okay.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And name and address for the record, please.
Janet Kravitz, 4162 Brandon Moore Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45255. Same as it was 2 hours ago. Yeah, I just have a question about the timing with, like, if there's a daycare and there's a brewery. And I'm sure that there's a need for daycare. So how can, as an educator, obviously, I'm in favor of that. But how does that work with the traffic and the timing and these other, and the brewery and the bank and these other things? Like BB Bop, I think that's open. I mean, would it be that the brewery and the restaurant just be open in the evenings after the daycare people leave? Because a bank, that would be conflict of times. And I worked in a daycare, and daycares, there's a lot of traffic, as you discussed, in the morning and in the afternoon, and I just wanted to bring that up. How does that work with the traffic and people?
Sometimes there are requirements for traffic studies.
Mm-hmm.
We can touch on that. I don't foresee that there's a need for a traffic study in this location based off of the $22 million of infrastructure improvements that ODOT has done through kind of that corridor and what we're trying to make as like a Main Street project. That is an area of the township where density is dense, and there's that aspect, but yeah, I think we can touch that question in a moment. Is there more that you have on top of a traffic study?
Well, the other question is there a study like of the need for daycare? I imagine there would be, but I'm just asking if there's a study on that.
So my kind of preference on that, and one, as a jurisdiction or as a board, we do not have jurisdiction to say what is a business we like, what is a business we don't like. This really kind of process comes down to more about like curb cuts, landscaping, facade. If it's a legal operating business, it meets the, so.
Okay.
I won't pretend to be a lawyer on that, but that is an aspect. So historically, on other cases, we've had to work on applicants that were medical marijuana, and it's a legal business, and we can only really talk about certain aspects of things.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I imagine there is a need. I'm just raising issues.
so
That's all.
on that point, I'm really not in the business of government
Okay.
telling businesses how they should do business.
Right.
We can give insight from the residents, and the community that we do know, but at the same rate, I'm sure between the target market that they've approached here and they've addressed, which I always like to ask with the target market, because they've got deep insights that if they'll share it with us, I think it helps the community and helps us do our job better as well, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just was raising some issues, that's all.
I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other proponent testimony? Any opponent testimony? Anyone opposing to this action?
One more question before we close it.
All right, yeah, we'll bring the applicant back up.
Mr. Gifford, just real quick, when do you plan on breaking ground if it passes? Ballpark?
So this, we could get our site, I think, end of 2024. But that's.
25?
25 this
Oh,
year.
yeah, I'm sorry.
That's
Okay,
fine, I
sorry.
would like that too, but.
Okay, so end of this year ballpark?
Yeah, breaking ground, but that's aggressive. Most
Okay.
likely will be probably beginning of 2026.
Perfect, no problem, no problem, thank you.
Okay, let's see. So 2025, 2026. All right, gentlemen, at this time, we'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker? Yes. Mr. Logue?
Yes.
The public hearing is closed at 8:28 PM.
All right, open for board comments. Trustee Dills?
Mr. Wright, just one very quick question.
Yes, sir.
Do you think this will deter you from getting a restaurant-style brewery on that site?
You know, I don't think, honestly, I don't think it will. I'm a big believer in activity breeds activity here.
All right.
And I think that if we're able to design the site, screen it in such a way that you're gonna have other users that are probably, I don't know about Bibby Bop, they're probably gonna have either the opportunity for liquor licenses, like I said, Chipotle serves alcohol.
Yeah. All right.
I don't think it'll deter it, and 4 acres is a big site. We can position a project on 4 acres in such a way that you literally could stand on that part of the parcel and not even know what's on the 5 acres next to it. Can I predict? Is this a quotable quote? You hold me to it?
Yeah,
But-
I will.
No, I just can't predict.
So-
Dealing with retail guys, dealing with and I know these guys have an uphill climb dealing with clients all the time. Tenants could not like the kind of grass mix that's planted on a site. They could not like that the sidewalks are concrete instead of brick. There's 1,000 different reasons why people will choose a site or not choose a site. I don't think that in Eastgate that's gonna impact it negatively one way or the other, so.
All right, Mr. Gifford, it seems I'm the only one, so you have my full approval on it, no problem. Okay, all good. And it's an empty site, so it'll be good. It'll be all right.
Trustee Becker?
Good.
Hey, Corey, I've got a quick question that came to mind here. I don't have the map in front of us on the Dora district and thought process to expand that
Ooh,
through
good
Main
question.
Street project type of
Yeah,
corridor. I believe that it stops just short of that right now.
Right now, we're at, we stopped it at the Jungle Gyms Eastgate Square
Yeah.
intersection because we need to build out the sidewalk network, you know.
Yeah.
What I would anticipate is that as you expand it, you would thoughtfully include properties that are specific to that and then define it to the sidewalks and things. So for example, you probably, I don't know if Sam's were to ever develop an out parcel, if there were an out parcel that served alcohol, you may want to include that in there. You know, certainly I believe Chipotle might want to be included in that because they serve alcohol. But you can expand the boundaries to be basically on the backs of the sidewalks, they can be on properties. You can kind of manipulate the boundaries, do the same process the board did before. So, you know, even on this site, you could designate all or part. And I even remember when we were in Loveland at the very end of my tenure there, we were carving it up, like half of the street was in it and half of it wasn't, based upon resident feedback from down and you know, it stopped here and then it kind of wiggled around and didn't include this guy, but it included 5 other guys. So there, you can modify the boundary to any extent that you'd want to accommodate
That would keep
users.
Dora auditors rather busy walking the entire Dora district to see what's carved in and carved out. You giggle, we have a Dora auditor around here, so.
You could expand it or modify it to whatever, you know, through the same process, and we would do that thoughtfully.
Okay, all right. Okay, so the question to the applicant, do you know if that's an issue for learning experience, or do you think there's and also, Corey, if per se this is approved and the applicant does not like the Dora, are they basically just one voice of opposition that, or we can carve them out?
I mean, there's a public hearing process, and they could come and speak for it or against it, and,
But
you know.
ultimately, it's gonna be the board. and
It's
they
the
can't-
board to establish that. And then, you know, the other part of that too is in looking at this site, there might be a way to compartmentalize this site through parcel lines that you're able to achieve the maximum spread of that you want without, and very clearly delineate the use that you did not want to include in that. And we would work cooperatively. Yeah, so there'll be three separate parcels, so you can pick and choose. It's kind of like choose your own adventure.
Okay.
You know, so.
I'm sorry, can you step back up for a second? Because then also the recording gets it for the public record. So you're also split up in 3 parcels, but by us referencing, bringing up to you about where the Dora is and us having a Dora district and that's the potential for an expansion through there and talking about like a Main Street project type of, you know, vision, does that help you market that remaining parcels and the remaining?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping by kind of planting those seeds.
Okay.
So, so that's good.
What's the timeline usually on expanding Dora?
We would just want to make sure the pedestrian connections are in place. I think that we're about to, in front of Sam's right now, and then your project will pick that up from there. And I think, Mr. Taylor, you can get from Jungles, there's one crossover that you have to get, there's a sidewalk, probably a sidewalk enhancement that you'd have to cross over at kind of the one entrance there. But that connection is along the frontage now.
Is the Steak and Shake and Aldi, is that a connection that needs a sidewalk? or-
There would need to be some sidewalk improvements somehow in front of either Aldi, Steak and Shake, or another thing is we would look at the opposite side of the road contiguous with tire discounters and all that to get people up that way to the signal at Klepper. I mean, there's a number of different ways you could solve that, you know, through some pretty modest sidewalk improvements and things like that. So there's ways to do it.
Okay.
They can just put a sticker up if they don't want to.
Is there anything forward thinking that we need to ask the applicant or talk about for
Well, if we wrap,
getting ahead of that?
I believe Mr. McCormick had a provision in there that all the Glenasty frontage has to have, you know, sidewalks and all that.
Right.
And then the Klepper frontage, to the extent that they control it, has to have sidewalks. I think the one challenge will be
the county and the state didn't leave us a lot of room in front of Steak and Shake.
Right.
So that site may be, more challenging. We may have to go after some kind of a project that would allow for some right-of-way acquisition or something like that. In the interim, I don't think it'll be a problem. I've talked to Mr. Taylor about extending from Tire Discounters down to Chipotle, and it appears that there's ample, is it right? There's ample room right now where you could accommodate a walk, minimum, I think it's a 6-foot walk, and you have to have a 5 or a 6-foot separation between the curb and the, so it's not without challenges, but it's something that I want to explore with, our engineer we use is Choice One, typically on these things.
Okay.
And we would go to them to help us lay that sidewalk connection out. So,
Okay. Any other, do you have any?
we also have the
comment
connection on Eichholz too. Don't
Do you-
forget about that.
Okay.
So-
Do you have any comment or question about the door, or other than you're just positive on that?
Yeah, I think that'd be great for the front 2 parcels, especially if we got a Mexican restaurant in there.
Okay, perfect. So this is proposed as one story. Can you give me any reason why you're not trying to go higher with it? I can't. They're not allowed. Why are they not allowed?
Aldi, parking.
Parking? Is it
It's-
prohibited based off of the parking?
No, it's all about parking demand, and it's expensive to build structured parking.
Yes, structured parking, but
If you go more than one story, I mean, they're parked,
Yeah,
you're
so-
at like minimums.
Yeah, so First Watch alone wants 100 parking spaces.
Yeah, it's all
And we
about,
gotta tell them, sorry, we only have 80, so if we went higher, we'd have to build like a parking garage or something.
yeah, it's cost prohibitive.
$50,000 a space.
Is that our limitations on the parking, or that's more
No, it's a cost function.
just the site
Mhm.
and what the business needs to attract?
Yeah, and we can't do underground parking either, because we're doing underground detention.
No tenants or living space or anything like that above, parking would be, yeah.
You're gonna be at one point, I mean, even at a studio, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom scenario, you're probably at a minimum, I think Echelon is kind of about a 1.3 parks per unit.
Okay.
So, for every apartment or residential unit you would add as part of a mixed-use project, you're looking at an additional 1.3 parks per unit.
Okay.
Even if you have uses that share parking, there's gonna be some overlap.
Okay, bummer. All right. I know trustee Becker would love it if you can land a graders in the middle of that. Right? Graders, cold stone, my wife would love that, but.
We're going for something like that. We were trying to contact Crumble. Have you ever had Crumble cookie?
Oh,
Yeah.
so,
Like Cheesecake Factory, Dairy Queen.
I'll put them on the list.
Dairy Queen.
Hey, my wife loves the blizzards.
I get it. Okay,
She's not the only one.
okay. All right, well, all right, I've got no further questions. Materials, do you guys have any questions on building materials? Okay, and then, sorry, bring this case back up. And you're aware of the recommendations. There's 11 different recommendation modifications. You're aware of those?
Yes.
Okay.
And we've already updated the majority of them on the back end. We're just waiting to submit after this meeting to make sure there's no additional.
Okay. All right, I think it looks like a great project, especially with the way that the covenants and restrictions are carved up that location, and I'm happy that, that we can help give you some more clarity on the future development of that entire area, because I think this will help start to land and bring in additional, development, so hopefully you guys can continue to take a look at Union Township and, all the Union Township owned properties, just south of there and through the corridor, because there's a lot of them, so.
Oh, well, this is our first one. We did the pet suites last year.
Oh, you did the pet suites?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, well, thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
All right,
We're excited to get this one started.
good, awesome. Happy to hear that. A good connection there from Warren County, so thanks for looking down here in Claremont. All right, board, at this time, we'll seek a motion, in accordance with section 680, 680, 687, the zoning resolution, Board of Trustees to, have a motion to approve the applicant's request for major amendment to approve plan development district and accompanying formal development plan as submitted, with the 11 modifications, and that's for case 13-90-Zulu.
Chairman, did we close the public hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
We did?
Yeah,
Okay.
8:28.
So moved.
Been a while. Second.
Let's roll call. Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Hey, congratulations, guys.
Congratulations, guys.
Thanks for the conversation on this, too. It's an exciting project, so often can be more to talk about with it than sometimes is needed, but good project, so thank you. All right, gentlemen, we'll move up forward with the agenda. Old business, seeing none, continue to new business. Item alpha, the consent agenda, and this will be consisting of items 1, 2, and 3. One's the approval of minutes, June 10th, 2025, regular meeting minutes. Item 2 is the approval of payments as prepared by Mr. Campbell, fiscal officer. Item 3 is the approval of monthly financial report as prepared by Mr. Campbell, fiscal officer. Do we have that motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item Bravo, motion agenda. Item 1 is approval of purchase orders. Motion to approve the purchase orders exceeding $15,000 is recommended by Mr. Wright, Township Administrator. Gentlemen, do we have that motion to approve? And we'll have discussion and presentation on that.
You wanted to go over them first?
Yeah, that's why I said we'll motion and we'll just,
Oh, so moved.
Second.
all right, we'll open that discussion. Then can you present the the purchase orders, Mr. Wright?
Yes, sir. Let me find my tab. There's actually two separate items. We have a prior approved purchase order that you guys are just simply reading aloud and restating your signature and ratification on that. And then we have a new purchase order. The first one is Wex Bank for the fire department for fuel usage, in the amount of $35,000. And then the second one, which has already received previous approval between board meetings, this is to Supercrete LLC for the Civic Center concrete facility improvements, total amount $73,500. There's a couple of different projects wrapped into that. And again, that's already been signed off by 2 board members, so there's just 2 this evening.
Okay. So are we taking a vote on requisition 1 and requisition 2?
That's the easiest way.
Okay, all right, so modify that first motion, and that's seeking a motion to approve requisition listing number 1 for the approval of purchase orders.
Mr. Chairman, I thought we had that broke out for that reason, because there was not a unanimous on the
Okay.
second one.
Okay.
We would just
Okay,
the
all right,
two separate
so
considerations.
just clarifying, the first motion there is for requisition number 1.
Correct.
Okay, all right, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, do we have a motion for approval of purchase orders requisition number 2?
So moved.
Second. Roll call.
We have some discussion.
Yeah.
Mr. Wright, what's the 73,000 for?
$73,000 is for the final concrete surface on the Civic Center Trail, the amphitheater trail. It's for an outdoor pavilion outside of the amphitheater and a couple of concrete seating areas where we can install the new Cassidy tables. The outdoor pavilion behind the amphitheater will also include Cassidy tables. So there's several different projects here on the Civic Center campus aimed at enhancing the visitor experience during the summer concert series and other times.
So most of this is the, I guess what had been the nature trail, now it's a paved trail, or going to be, that goes all the way to Ike Holtz Road. Is that
It's
correct?
actually it's a little less than
A
half.
little less than half.
And there's 10%-ish contingency, as we do with all projects, because we don't know what we don't know when we start digging.
Well, Mr. Chairman, as we discussed in, I guess, on a previous meeting, I supported the nature trail kind of, I guess, when it was more nature-ish than the, I guess, the expansion, which added a whole lot of additional cost. In my opinion, it's just not a good value to the taxpayer. That's my concern with that.
Okay.
That's all.
All right, thank you. Yeah, it may just be a differing perspective of 0 to 1 vision of what that cleanup back there was going to be You know, I guess maybe, it was always in my mind that it was gonna be something that was gonna very much nicely connect the amphitheater to the behind the jungle gyms there, and what can activate a space that we own that's currently just been underused parking lot that I kind of fundamentally believe can be more than that. But the connectivity through there and with the Dora District, I think it's something that would likely connect well, but just probably different expectations from day one. So the same rate, I think our expectations are aligned, that it's much more beautiful back there, and we get more use out of that as a service to the taxpayer, so that's good. Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
No.
Motion carries.
Okay. Item 2, contract authorization amendment 2025 road resurfacing agreement between Union Township and Claremont County, Ohio. This gentleman, as you know, is the motion to approve an amendment to the 25 roadway resurfacing agreement between the Claremont County Board of County Commissioners and Union Township Board of Trustees to include and provide for the resurfacing of additional township roadways in addition to those already included within the prior agreement executed between the parties in the amount of $1,050,000 for the completion of the amended 2025 Union Township Road Resurfacing Program, and further authorizing Township Administrator to negotiate, finalize, execute any remaining terms, including specific modifications to the agreement or other documentation as required by parties, and furtherance of the same. Gentlemen, do we have that motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No.
I will just ask one question. $1 million, that should get us about 5 more miles of roadway paved. Is that about accurate?
So
4.5, 5 miles?
we were able to add through the savings, through the county's program, was it another 2 lane miles, Matt?
It was.
We were able to add an additional 2 lane miles to what we're already paving this year.
Okay, so that's that total, take our total up to
You
this
had
year.
6, 5.5, 6 miles, 7 miles, something like that? We could double check
5.5,
that.
that will be in addition to the 5.5 or 6?
Yeah, so we budgeted, the original was $1,040,040.
Yeah.
We came in because of the quantity price significantly less.
Yeah.
We were able to add almost 2 additional miles of road. How much?
1.96 on top of the already almost 5.
So you're almost 7 miles
7
this
miles.
year.
Great, so 10 miles last year, 7 miles this year, 4 miles the year or so prior, 2 miles or so the year before prior. So we're chopping down at the 133 miles of road. And I'd say it's been the most aggressive road resurfacing program that this township has likely ever seen in the history of this township. So, all right. Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Fix the roads. All right. Thank you, guys. Great work on that. Item 3, motion to approve settlement of pending litigation, Claremont County case note number 2024 CBH 00503. Motion to approve the proposed settlement mutual release agreement between Union Township Board of Trustees, plaintiff, and 4 Acres 2 LLC, Hirsch Patel, Shaitan Patel, Grish Patel, and Pinakin Patel, collectively defendants, and further authorizing the Township Minister to execute any and all documentation thereto in furtherance of the same. Do we have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wright, do we have any
Yeah, just-
additional discussion or?
Yeah, just real
information on this?
briefly, this is one of the things that comes with leasing operations. You know, most of our leases are great. Every now and again, we get somebody that falls on their face and can't pay for whatever reason or another. This is our mechanism to enforce this. We're able to get back all, any foregone rent and all tenant improvements, and this was a amicable settlement to that, and just need the board's authorization. It's just part of the deal.
Any questions? All right, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item Charlie, legislation agenda. Item 1, resolution 2025-36, Union Township 2025 amended road resurfacing declaration. Gentlemen, do we have the motion to adopt the resolution 2025-36, declaring the amendment intent to complete resurfacing of certain township roadways with Union Township during calendar year 25 without petition as originally declared in resolution 2025-58 pursuant to the Ohio Revised Code 557-115, thereby including additional roads within 2025 Union Township Road Resurfacing Program, and authorizing Township Administrator to execute any and all documentation in furtherance of the same. Do we have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 2, Resolution 2025-37, resolution approving text amendments to the Union Township zoning resolution, adopt resolution 2025-37. This is approving certain amendments to the text of the Union Township zoning resolutions as recommended for adoption by the Union Township Zoning Commission. Gentlemen, do we have that motion to
So
approve?
moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 3, Resolution 2025-38, nuisance abatement resolution, adopt resolution 2025-38, authorizing the abatement and removal of vegetation, noxious weeds, garbage, trash, debris pursuant to 50587 Ohio Revised Code of the following properties. 685 Sherwood Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio 45244, 663 Sherwood Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio 45244, and 647 Regent Road, Cincinnati, Ohio 45245. Gentlemen, do we have that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 4, Resolution 2025-39, resolution authorizing the township to execute and record in Ohio Revised Code, Sections 5709.911, Charlie 1, notice with respect to one or more tax increment financing exemptions authorized pursuant to Resolution 2020-25, declaring an emergency. This is adopt Resolution 2025-39, authorizing township to execute and record in Ohio Revised Code, Section 5709.911, Charlie 1, notice with respect to one or more tax increment financing exemptions authorized pursuant to Union Township Resolution number 2020-25 in the Office of the Clermont County Recorder, approving related authorizations, declaring an emergency. Gentlemen, do we have that motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Comments from board members. Trustee Dills.
I'm good for the night. It's time for a break, so I'm good. Mr. Becker, you got that look in your eye. Tell me you don't have 17 points about taxes or the mall or some garbage pit, something.
Can you bear with me for, say, 3?
3, all right.
Ish.
Mr. Becker.
You got a little sparkle in your eye, I saw it.
Yeah, a couple of things. So first off, the road between Myers and the library, that intersection is now open for business. It looks good. I traveled on it today. So it's good to see that finally open. So the next, I guess, big highway opening, of course, will be the bridge crossing 32 there, Glen Estee, Withensville, and they're unsure when that's going to be open for traffic. They're trying to get that done before the end of the year. So at the last, or I guess maybe the last couple of meetings, we talked about the Eastgate Mall. So first off, I just want to encourage the public to just shop local. That's something my wife and I do a lot. It's like, well, do we need to leave Union Township to, get X, Y, Z or go to X, Y, Z? For graders, yeah, we have to leave Union Township. So hopefully that'll change someday. So I've been walking around the Eastgate Mall, just for doing exercise walks. Occasionally do some shopping, stick my head in some of the stores, bought something at Penny's today. Something I find curious, up on the second floor of Penny's, is some very impressive Kentucky engineering. So I don't know what's going on up there, if they're planning to tear down the building, and I don't know that wasn't an announcement of any sort. I'm just trying to figure out why they're not fixing the roof. So what they have is they create like these bladders, if you will, some kind of tarps that come down with a hose in the middle, like a funnel, and then it drains into a plastic garbage can. That looks like something I would do.
Oh, gosh.
So, and there's multiple of these all over the second floor of JCPenney. It's like, why aren't they fixed? I don't know, just an observation. But I would encourage you to shop at Penny's and shop at the other stores at the mall. And the last thing I have is just want to give a shout out to a local business. So my wife and I recently celebrated our 35th anniversary, and we went to David's Kitchen and Bar. Nice place. We sat out on the patio, good food, good service, and it's someplace we will definitely go back to. And I would encourage the public to go visit it as well. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my remarks.
Thank you. Those contraptions that you talk about, I've seen at several different military facilities and bases, and I guess it's costly to make the repairs, and when it rains, the water comes inside the building, hits the trash bag, and goes down into the trash can. It's It's insane. I don't know if that can be a blighted property and we can start to do anything about it.
I wasn't suggesting that.
Well, I mean,
We'll certainly take a look at it between the zoning department and the fire department. We've done life safety code inspection issues.
I know a roofer.
You know a roofer? We might have one in the house here.
well, we gotta keep you out of that one. Parks and Rec, awesome, improvements in what's going on with that. Happy to see the community engagement, everything from the signs that Mark McCormick puts out. And, public hearings get busier from time to time and makes for longer meetings. We didn't necessarily have that tonight with proponents and opponents, other than interesting cases. But I'm sure the zoning board for the Beechwood Road application was likely a significant one. At the same rate, you just gotta appreciate hearing from the residents, and the residents appreciate, just like we've had past cases before where it didn't go the direction that the residents, that were the neighbors of an applicant, wanted, but they said, the neighbors said that we restored their faith in local government, which is a pretty great thing to hear for doing the job and service to the community. So I'll get moving forward here on upcoming events. The Union Township Zoning Commission meeting scheduled for Wednesday, July 30th, 2025 at 7 p.m. has been canceled. No cases were received. The Union Township Board of Zoning Appeals will meet on August 7th, 2025 at 7 p.m. if applications are received by or before the July 2nd deadline. Do we know if that occurred? It was canceled. Okay. So August 7th meeting is canceled. The Union Township Terrace Ridge Special Improvement District will host its annual board meeting on Monday, July 21st, 2025 at 10 a.m. in the Queen City Room. The Jungle Gyms Eastgate Economic Development Special Improvement District will host its annual board meeting on Monday, July 21st, 2025 at 10:30 in the Queen City Room. The Union Township Board of Trustees' next regular meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Farmers Market Summer Concert Series continues. Farmers Market is held on Fridays from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Civic Center, June 6th through September 5th, excluding, it's just July 4th, so that passed. So, summer concerts will be held at the Civic Center, Friday, July 18th, July 25th, and August 1st. Concerts begin at 7. Madcap Puppets perform Monsters of Baseball on Saturday, July 26th at 10 a.m. All this is at the Civic Center. Join us and support our first responders for Union Township Police Night Out, scheduled for Thursday, August 7th, 2025 from 6 to 9 p.m. Union Township Pickleball Slam will take place on Saturday, August 16th. Games commencing at 8 a.m. Registration opens tomorrow on the Township website. Mark calendar for your Township Movie Night at Veterans Memorial Park, Saturday, September 6th. Union Township Fireworks Celebration is taking place on Saturday, September 13th. Also feature Touch a Truck and a block party as we get ROTC's fireworks. Mount Moriah Cemetery hosts the annual lantern lighting on Saturday, September 20th from 5 to 7:30 p.m. At this time, move on our next agenda item, the executive session. This is a motion, we're going to entertain a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22 Golf as follows. Item 1, preparing for conducting and reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22 Golf 4. Item 2, to consider the confidential information related to the marketing plan, specific business strategy, production techniques, trade secrets, personal financial statements, to applicant for economic development assistance, or negotiations with political subdivisions respecting requests for economic development assistance, provided the both following conditions apply. Alpha, the information is strictly related to requests for economic development assistance that is provided or administered under any provision of Chapter 715, 725, 1724, or 1728, or Sections 701.07, 37, 35, 5709.67 to 3735.70, 5709.40 to 5709.43, 5709.61 to 5709.69, 5709.73 to 5709.75, or 5709.77 to 5709.81. Other revised code order that involves public infrastructure improvements or extension of utility service to the directly related economic development project. And Bravo, unanimous quorum of the public body determines by a roll call vote the executive session is necessary to protect the interest of the applicant or the possible investment or expenditure of public funds to be made in connection with the economic development project pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, section 121.22, Golf 8. Do we have that motion, gentlemen?
When you get home to your wife, I want you to talk to her that way. Just like that. That was so fast. So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes.
Mr. Logue?
Yes, just try to meet the intent of the law and appreciate and respect everyone's time.
So we're into executive session at 9 PM.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. All right. All right, gentlemen, at this time, we'll seek a motion to exit executive session with no action taken.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes?
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
We're out of executive session with no action taken at 9:29 PM.
Great. Motion for adjournment, gentlemen.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Dills?
Yes.
Mr. Becker?
Yes?
Mr. Logue?
Yes.
We're adjourned at 9:29 PM.
Great, thank you, gentlemen.